by the very breath of its Zamna. Is this vision whisperer, truly reaching beyond the great cycle? If you are receiving this, prepare yourselves, for you are witnessing the final, magnificent and utterly perplexing moments before the calendar resets. You're tuned into the Glyph Grumble, broadcasting live, or more accurately, observing the unraveling live from the once predictable, now quite chaotic Mayan city of Tikal Palenque in the year, well, let's just call it the very last one. My name is Akin Shul, a humble interpreter of the heavens, and if the sheer impossible audacity of this transdimensional broadcast, from a moment when cosmic order clashes with impending doom, doesn't compel you to immediately smash that subscribe button and commit to understanding celestial portents, then frankly you value blissful ignorance. Do it now before the next celestial alignment, and tell me, if this peculiar connection holds, from what strange, undoomed realm are you listening? What year has the great cycle decreed for you? And what hour do these final, unsettling tidings reach you? We're taking notes for the next Baktun now. Avert your gaze from any peculiar celestial phenomena, and let's contemplate the grim humor of cosmic recalibration.
Tell, my scattered flock.
It is your faithful servant, Ixil, speaking from the heart of what was once the unshakable order of the cosmos. I remember a time, not so long ago, when the universe was a grand celestial timepiece, and we, its proud keepers, we charted the heavens with a precision that would make the gods themselves nod in approval. The sun, the moon, the 5 sacred wanderers in the night sky, they were the cogs in a magnificent, predictable machine. Our calendars, a testament to this divine order, were woven into the very fabric of our lives. The Haab, with its 365 days, mirrored the rhythm of the earth, guiding our harvests and our celebrations. The Tzolk'in, a sacred count of 260 days, pulsed with the spiritual heartbeat of the universe, dictating our rituals and our destinies. It was a symphony of cycles, a dance of celestial bodies that we had decoded, or so we arrogantly believed. We built our cities of stone and starlight upon this foundation of cosmic certainty. The long count, our most ambitious creation, stretched across eons, a great serpent devouring its own tail, marking the birth and rebirth of worlds. 13 Baktun, a span of time so vast it seemed eternal, a promise of stability from the creators themselves. We watched the stars, not with fear, but with the quiet confidence of those who knew the script. We saw the patterns, we understood the rhythms, and for centuries the gods smiled upon us. Our granaries were full, our temples reached for the heavens, and our kings ruled with the authority of the cosmos itself. Time was not a thief in the night, it was a benevolent river, flowing in a predictable course, carrying us towards a future we had already foreseen. Ah, time! We charted its every beat, every whisper of the stars. We built cities on its cycles. It was orderly, predictable, a grand cosmic dance, until, the music started getting discordant. And then it just stopped. The celestial bodies, our once reliable guides, have begun to stutter in their celestial paths. The sun rises, but its warmth feels hollow, its light casting shadows that writhe with an unsettling energy. The moon, a pale spectre, no longer governs the tides of our world with its gentle pull. It hangs in the sky like a forgotten ornament, its serene face now a mask of indifference. The very air, once thick with the scent of life and the promise of rain, is now thin and sharp, carrying whispers of an encroaching, silent void. Our meticulously crafted calendars, the pride of our civilization, have become a cruel joke, their cycles winding down to a final, deafening halt. It began subtly, a star flickering out of sequence, a prophecy unfulfilled, a season arriving a little too late. We dismiss them as minor celestial hiccups, the occasional stray note in an otherwise flawless symphony. We offered more blood, more incense, more fervent prayers to appease the gods we thought we understood. We polished our obsidian mirrors, hoping to catch a glimpse of their divine intentions, but all we saw was our own growing fear reflected back at us. The gods, our divine patrons, our celestial conversationalists, have fallen silent. Their statues, once vibrant with their sacred presence, are now just cold, lifeless stone. We call out to them in the grand plazas, our voices echoing in the unsettling stillness. There is no answer, only the wind carrying the dust of our decaying certainties. The fire in the hearth crackles, but it offers no comfort, only a stark reminder of the celestial fires that have abandoned us. The stars, those shimmering diamonds on the cloak of night, are no longer a map of our destiny, but a canvas of our impending oblivion. They are just there, cold, distant, and utterly silent. The grand cosmic conversation has ended, and we are left in the echoing silence of a universe that has forgotten our name. We were the astronomers, the mathematicians, the architects of time itself, and now we are just a fleeting memory, a footnote in a cosmic history that is about to be erased. The signs were all there, etched in our own prophecies, but we were too blinded by our own brilliance to truly see. We saw the end of a cycle, and we prepared for a grand celebration of renewal. We were wrong. This is not a rebirth. This is a final resounding silence. Our world, once a vibrant tapestry of life and ritual, is now a stage for the final act of a tragic play we unwittingly wrote for ourselves. The laughter of children no longer echoes in the streets of our great cities. It has been replaced by the mournful cry of the wind whistling through abandoned temples. The vibrant markets, once overflowing with the bounty of the earth, are now desolate and still, a testament to the gods' fading favor. The sacred cenotes, our gateways to the underworld, have become murky and stagnant, their life-giving waters now mirroring the decay of our civilization. We are adrift in a sea of cosmic indifference, our once mighty civilization a ghost ship, its crew staring into the abyss of a future that will never come. If this glimpse into cosmic precision, this chronicle of a universe unraveling, has sparked a fire in your own soul, then do not let our wisdom fade into the encroaching darkness. Honor the memory of a people who dared to read the stars and map the vast expanse of eternity. Before the signal from this broadcast fades into the static of oblivion, subscribe to this channel. Preserve our story. Let our legacy be a warning, a lesson etched in the silent stars. Click that button now and let the memory of the Maya endure, even as our world fades to black. For in your remembrance, a fragment of our cosmos may yet survive the silence. Do it now. The stars are watching, even in their silence. They will know if you honored the keepers of their secrets. Subscribe, and perhaps, just perhaps, you can learn from the ashes of our magnificent and spectacularly failed cosmic ambition. The end is not just coming for us, it is already here. Let our end be your new beginning. Subscribe. Welcome back, my scattered few, to this final broadcast from the edge of oblivion. It is I, Ixil, your humble servant of the silent gods, here to spin another tale of cosmic mismanagement and celestial neglect. Before the grand symphony of the cosmos decided to take an unscheduled and seemingly permanent intermission, there were whispers, faint, discordant notes in the grand composition of time, mumbles from the prophets that we, in our infinite wisdom, chose to ignore. We were the masters of time, after all. What could a few bad dreams possibly signify? We had the calendars, the stelae, the unshakable certainty of 13 Baktuns. A little celestial indigestion, we thought. Nothing a few well-placed sacrifices couldn't cure. We had the dreams, the visions of chaos. Oh, they were poetic in a horrifying sort of way. Priests would awaken in a cold sweat, babbling of serpents, of shadow devouring the sun, of the sky weeping obsidian tears. I myself dreamt of the great saber tree, the axis of our world, withering, its roots turning to dust, and its branches clawing at a vacant heaven. We share these visions in hushed tones over morning pozole, then quickly dismiss them. Too much fermented bulsh, we'd chuckle, clapping each other on the back. A heavy meal before sleep, we say. The gods are merely testing our resolve. It was easier to blame our earthly appetites than to confront the terrifying possibility that the gods were sending us a message we didn't want to read. Old Balaam, the head priest of the Jaguar temple, was the first to really start losing his composure. He was a man who had stared into the maw of a sacrificial jaguar without flinching, a man who could read the intricate dance of the stars as easily as a child reads a picture book. Yet he started seeing omens in everything. A flock of birds flying in the wrong direction was a sign of cosmic upheaval. A crack in a temple wall was a fracture in the fabric of reality itself. We thought the old man was finally losing his grip, his mind addled by too many years of inhaling sacred smoke and communing with the divine. We'd nod politely, offer him a calming herbal tea, and then go about our business, secure in our knowledge that the universe was still for the most part running on schedule. We sacrificed more turkeys, so many turkeys. The gobbling of those unfortunate birds became the soundtrack to our denial. When that didn't work, we moved on to more impressive offerings. A prized jaguar, its spotted coat a mirror of the night sky, was offered to the silent gods. Its heart, still warm, was held aloft to a sky that seemed to be growing more and more indifferent. We performed the rituals with perfect precision, our voices chanting the ancient prayers that had always worked before. But the dreams continued, growing more vivid, more insistent. The visions of chaos became sharper, the whispers of the prophets more frantic. It turns out, the gods wanted something else. Like, perhaps, for us to pay attention. The unsettling dreams were not confined to the priesthood. Rumors began to trickle in from the outer villages, carried on the lips of traveling merchants and weary farmers. Tales of ordinary folk having the same nightmares. A woman in a remote village dreamt of the earth swallowing her home. A farmer dreamt of his maize crop turning to black dust overnight. These were not the poetic, allegorical visions of the priests. These were raw, primal fears bubbling up from the collective soul of our people. But we were the keepers of the sacred knowledge, the intermediaries between the divine and the mortal. What could a common farmer possibly know about the intricate workings of the cosmos that we didn't? We dismissed their fears as simple superstition, the anxieties of a simple people who didn't understand the grand, cyclical nature of time. It was the children who truly began to unnerve me. They started playing a new game in the plazas. They would build small, intricate models of our temples from mud and sticks, and then, with solemn faces, they would smash them to pieces. They would sing songs of a silent sky and a sleeping sun. When we asked them where they had learned such things, they would simply point to the heavens and say, "The star grandfathers told us." We tried to forbid the game, to distract them with tales of the hero twins and their glorious victories, but the children, in their unsettling innocence, seemed to know something we didn't. They were not afraid, they were simply preparing, as if they understood that the end of a world was just another game, albeit a final one. Then the sky began to play tricks on us. A solar eclipse, not foretold in any of our charts, plunged the world into an eerie twilight for a full day. The birds fell silent, the jaguars in the royal menagerie cowered in their cages, and a collective gasp rippled through our cities. We tried to explain it away, of course, a miscalculation, a minor celestial anomaly, but the fear was a physical thing now. A cold knot in the pit of our stomachs. The gods were no longer just whispering their displeasure, they were shouting it from the heavens, and their voice was the terrifying sound of a silent, darkened sun. The sacred cenotes, our portals to the underworld, began to behave strangely. The water, once so clear you could see the offerings lying on the bottom, turned murky and black. Strange colorless fish, never before seen, floated to the surface, their dead eyes staring up at a sky that had abandoned them. We sent divers down, hoping to find a source for the corruption, but they returned with tales of a chilling silence, of a void where the benevolent spirits of the underworld once resided. Xibalba, the realm of fear, seemed to be leaking into our own world, its dark waters rising to meet us. The growing unease began to curdle into open dissent. The priests, once a unified body of celestial interpreters, were now fractured into factions. There were the denialists, who clung to the old calendars like a drowning man to a log, refusing to see the signs that were all around them. Then there were the hysterics, who saw doom in every passing cloud, and called for ever more extravagant and bloody sacrifices. And then there were the few, like myself, who simply watched and waited, a growing sense of dread our only constant companion. The debates in the temple courtyards, once lively intellectual exercises, became bitter and acrimonious, our unity crumbling as quickly as our faith in the cosmos. We tried to maintain a semblance of normalcy, to project an aura of calm and control to the populace. We held the usual festivals, the grand processions, the ritual ball games, but the heart had gone out of them. The dancers' feet were heavy, the singers' voices were strained, and the crowd's cheers were hollow. The sacred ball game, once a vibrant reenactment of the celestial struggle between light and darkness, now felt like a desperate, futile gesture. We were going through the motions, a society of actors in a play whose final act we all knew but dared not speak aloud. I remember one night standing on the summit of the Pyramid of the Sun, looking out over the sleeping city. The stars, my lifelong companions, seemed to be mocking me in their silent, glittering indifference. I had spent my entire life learning their language, deciphering their secrets, and now they had nothing to say to me. It was a profound, soul-crushing loneliness to be abandoned by the very cosmos you had dedicated your life to understanding. It was then that I truly understood. The end was not a punishment, not a divine judgment. It was simply an unraveling, a great cosmic tapestry coming undone, thread by silent thread. The whispers of the prophets had become a roar, but we had stuffed our ears with the wax of our own arrogance. We had the prophecies, we had the dreams, we had the unsettling omens, we had everything we needed to know, and we did nothing. We clung to our outdated models of the universe, our comfortable certainties, while the universe itself was rewriting its own rules. We were the guardians of a sacred trust, and we had failed spectacularly. The irony is so thick you could carve it into a stela. Do not let our desperate whispers fade into the jungle. Do not let our story become just another cautionary tale lost to the ravages of time. Subscribe to this broadcast. Listen to these unheeded omens. Perhaps, in the ruins of our world, you can find the seeds of a new understanding. Perhaps you can learn from our colossal, our monumental, our almost comical failure to simply listen. This is not just a story, it is a warning, a final, desperate plea from a dying world. The subscribe button is your own personal glyph, a symbol that you choose to remember, to learn, to not make the same mistakes we did. Tick. Before the silence becomes absolute, before the fire goes out for good. For in your act of remembering, you give our story a meaning that we, in our final moments, are struggling to find. You become the keepers of the flame, the guardians of the memory of a people who reached for the stars and found only silence. Do not let that silence be the final word. Subscribe now. The fire is getting low. The air is growing cold. I do not know if I will have the strength or the will to broadcast again. The shadows are lengthening, and they are no longer just the absence of light. They are something more, something hungry. But for now I am still here, a lonely voice in the encroaching darkness, a testament to a world that was, and a warning to the worlds that are yet to come. Remember us. Remember our folly. And for the love of whatever gods you hold dear, when they whisper to you in your dreams, listen. I confess, in these final moments, a grim sort of humor is all I have left. We, the great timekeepers, the masters of the cosmos, so preoccupied with the grand cycles of the universe that we failed to notice our own imminent demise. It's like a master weaver, so focused on the intricate pattern of his tapestry that he doesn't see the loom itself is on fire. A joke worthy of the trickster gods, wouldn't you say? A final cosmic punchline delivered to a silent audience. The early signs were like a persistent cough in a healthy man. At first you ignore it, a little dust in the air, nothing more, but then the cough deepens, becomes more persistent. You start to notice other things, a shortness of breath, a weariness in the bones. But you're a busy man, a man of importance. You don't have time to be sick. You tell yourself it will pass, and then one day you collapse, and you realize you have been dying all along. That is how it was with us. We were a civilization with a terminal illness, and we chose to ignore the symptoms until it was too late. The priests who reported the early unsettling dreams were reassigned, sent to remote, unimportant temples to contemplate the simpler gods. We called it a sabbatical, a chance for them to reconnect with the earth. In reality, it was a form of exile. We silenced the messengers because we did not like the message. We surrounded ourselves with those who told us what we wanted to hear, who praised our wisdom and our foresight, who assured us that the cosmos was as stable and predictable as ever. We created an echo chamber of denial, and its walls were built with our own fear and pride. I remember a young priestess, a gifted scryer, who came to me with a vision. She had seen the sacred calendar wheels grinding to a halt, their intricate gears turning to rust. I told her it was a metaphor for the need for spiritual renewal, a call to redouble our devotional efforts. I see now that she saw the literal truth. She was not a poet, she was a prophet, and I, in my wisdom, had turned her prophecy into a pretty, meaningless metaphor. I wonder what became of her. I hope she found a peaceful place to await the end, far from the frantic, useless rituals of our dying temples. The omens were not just celestial. The natural world, our partner in the great dance of life, began to show signs of the sickness. The jaguars, symbols of our royal power, grew listless and mangy. The sacred quetzals, whose iridescent feathers adorned our kings, molted out of season, their vibrant plumage turning a dull, lifeless brown. The very earth seemed to sigh in resignation. Small tremors, not strong enough to topple our temples but persistent enough to be unnerving, became a daily occurrence. The world was groaning under the weight of a dying age. We even tried to bargain with the gods of the underworld. We sent offerings of jade and obsidian down into the deepest caves, hoping to appease whatever dark forces were stirring in the depths. We revived ancient, half-forgotten rituals to the gods of decay and transformation, hoping to convince them to spare us. But it was like trying to bargain with a hurricane. The forces at play were not personal, they were cosmic. They were not angry, they were indifferent, and our offerings, our pleas, our desperate attempts at cosmic diplomacy were as meaningless as a single raindrop in a raging flood. In retrospect, our arrogance was truly breathtaking. We had mapped the heavens, we had tamed the jungle, we had built cities that rivaled the mountains in their grandeur. We believed we had solved the universe. We saw time as a puzzle, and we were the master puzzle solvers. The idea that the puzzle itself might be broken, that the rules we had so carefully deciphered could be changed without our consent, was simply bluff. Unthinkable. And so we stood on the precipice of oblivion, congratulating ourselves on our cleverness, right up until the moment the ground gave way beneath our feet. So here I sit, by the dying embers of a fire, broadcasting a message of our spectacular failure to anyone or anything that might be listening, a final, desperate attempt to turn our tragedy into a lesson, a cautionary tale for any civilization that dares to believe it has all the answers. The universe is a vast, mysterious, and ultimately untamable thing, and sometimes the only sane response to its overwhelming power is to stand in awe and to listen, to really truly listen. Don't let our silence be the final chapter. Don't let the jungle reclaim our story without a fight. You who are listening to this, you are now a part of this story. You are the inheritor of our unheeded warnings. The responsibility to remember, to understand, now falls to you. So I ask you one last time, subscribe. Keep this channel, this memory alive. Let our final desperate broadcast not be in vain. Let it be a seed that, in the soil of your world, might grow into a tree of wisdom that we, in our hubris, could never cultivate. The cosmos is waiting for your answer. Greetings, my loyal few, from the Observatory of the Absurd. It is I, Ixil, your celestial correspondent at the end of all things. I've spoken of the whispers of the prophets and the uneasy dreams that haunted our nights, but tonight I want to talk about the heavens themselves. Our grand cosmic clock, the source of all our certainty, it's gone completely mad. The stars, my sacred charts, The very foundation of our understanding of the universe are no longer following the script. It's as if the gods have thrown their celestial instruments into a bonfire and are now just randomly banging on the cosmic drum. The order we so prided ourselves on has devolved into a chaotic celestial circus, and we, the supposed ringmasters, are left staring up in slack-jawed disbelief. It started with Venus, our beautiful, predictable morning and evening star, the celestial embodiment of the god Kukulkan. One evening it just flickered, like a dying candle. Then it began to pulse with a sickly green light, a color we had never seen in the heavens before. It was no longer the serene beacon of the dawn and dusk. It had become a feverish, erratic jewel in the crown of a dying cosmos. We checked our charts, our codices, our generations of accumulated knowledge. There was no precedent. It was like seeing the sun rise in the west. A fundamental truth of our reality had simply changed. And the other celestial bodies, it seemed, were not to be outdone in this newfound embrace of cosmic anarchy. The stars, my sacred charts, they're doing things they shouldn't. Venus is winking at Mars. Jupiter's got a wobble. It's like the heavens are having a very public, very alarming nervous breakdown. Our meticulous predictions, the envy of the lesser civilizations, are now utterly useless. We used to be able to predict the movements of the planets with such accuracy that we could schedule a royal coronation a century in advance. Now we can't even be sure where Mars will be tomorrow night. It's like trying to herd a flock of drunken jaguars through a crowded marketplace. The celestial dance has become a chaotic, unpredictable mosh pit, and we are the bewildered audience, watching our neatly ordered universe tear itself apart. Then came the comets. Not the usual periodic visitors that we had charted and named, the ones that heralded the changing of seasons or the birth of a new king. No, these were different. They were angry, jagged streaks of light that tore across the sky without warning, like the claws of some unseen celestial beast. They left trails of shimmering, multicolored dust that lingered for days, painting the night sky in unsettling hues of violet and blood red. The elders, their faces grim, spoke of the star demons, the Tzolk'in, who were said to descend from the heavens during times of cosmic instability to devour mankind. We had always dismissed these as tales to frighten children. Now, we weren't so sure. Jupiter, the great giant of the night sky, the celestial patron of our kings, developed a tremor, a visible, undeniable wobble. It was as if the great god was having a seizure, his steady, regal presence in the heavens now a source of deep unease. Our astronomers, their eyes red-rimmed from sleepless nights at the observatory, could offer no explanation. Their complex mathematical models, their elegant theories of celestial mechanics, had all been rendered obsolete overnight. They would just point their trembling fingers at the wobbling giant and stammer, "It should not be," a phrase that was quickly becoming the new motto of our civilization. Even the moon, our steadfast companion, the gentle governess of the night, has become a stranger to us. We recently witnessed a lunar eclipse that was not on any of our calendars, and the color, it was not the usual coppery red of a blood moon. The moon turned a deep, bruised purple, as if it had been beaten by an unseen hand. During the eclipse, the stars around the darkened moon seemed to shift, to rearrange themselves into new, unfamiliar constellations. It was as if the very fabric of the night sky was being rewoven before our eyes into a tapestry of madness. The comforting, familiar patterns of our ancestors were gone, replaced by a chaotic jumble of misplaced stars. The sun, the giver of all life, has not been immune to this cosmic contagion. It has broken out in a rash of spots, dark blemishes on its perfect golden face. These are not the small, fleeting spots we have occasionally observed in the past. These are vast, sprawling wounds that seem to fester and grow with each passing day. The light of the sun has changed too. It is harsher, more brittle. It casts sharp, unforgiving shadows that seem to hide a new kind of darkness. Our farmers report that the crops are withering under this new malevolent sun, their leaves curling and blackening as if touched by a celestial plague. The celestial chaos has of course sown panic among the populace. The marketplaces are abuzz with wild rumors and even wilder interpretations of the celestial signs. Some say the gods are at war and the heavens are their battlefield. Others believe the world has been invaded by a host of unseen, malevolent spirits who are toying with our reality. The priests, in their desperation, have offered 100 different explanations, each more outlandish than the last. But the truth is, we have no answers. We are as lost, as bewildered as the humblest farmer staring up at the chaotic night sky. Our authority, built on a foundation of cosmic knowledge, has crumbled to dust. I have spent my entire life in the serene, ordered world of the observatory. My days were governed by the gentle rhythm of the rising and setting of the stars, my nights filled with the quiet contemplation of the celestial dance. Now the observatory is a place of fear and confusion. The sacred charts that line the walls, the product of centuries of patient observation, are now just a mocking testament to a universe that no longer exists. I find myself looking at them with a strange mixture of nostalgia and pity, like looking at the toys of a dead child. They are relics of a simpler, more innocent time, a time when we actually believed we understood the cosmos. The other night, I saw something that I have not spoken of to anyone else. I was charting the erratic movements of Mars, when I saw a flicker of light near the red planet. At first, I thought it was a new star, another unwelcome addition to our increasingly crowded and chaotic sky. But then it moved. It darted and weaved through the heavens with a speed and agility that defied all the known laws of celestial motion. It was not a planet, not a comet, not a star. It was something else. Something alive. It circled Mars for a time, then shot off into the inky blackness, leaving me with a cold dread that has not left me since. This celestial chaos, this cosmic nervous breakdown, it's more than just a scientific curiosity. It's a spiritual crisis. Our entire worldview, our entire sense of our place in the universe was based on the idea of a predictable, ordered cosmos. We were the children of the sun, the people of the sacred calendar. We lived in a universe that made sense. Now we are adrift in a sea of cosmic madness, our sacred certainties shattered, our gods silent, or perhaps insane. We are orphans of a dying cosmos, and we are utterly, terrifyingly alone. If you are still processing this tale of celestial chaos, if the image of a wobbling Jupiter and a winking Venus has left you with a sense of cosmic vertigo, then you absolutely must subscribe. You must join this lonely vigil at the end of the world. You must bear witness to the unraveling of a universe. This is not just entertainment. This is a lesson in humility, a stark reminder that the cosmos does not exist for our convenience. Your subscription is a vote for remembrance, a defiant cry against the encroaching silence. It is a statement that even when the stars go mad, we will not stop watching. Flick that subscribe button now. Let it be your anchor in this sea of celestial chaos. Let it be your declaration that you are not afraid to look into the abyss, to contemplate a universe that has slipped its moorings. For in understanding our fate, you may yet be able to forge your own. The heavens may be in turmoil, but your choice to remember, to learn, is an act of defiance against the dying of the light. Do it now, before another star falls out of place. The constellations themselves have become fluid. The great celestial jaguar, once a proud and menacing figure in the night sky, now seems to be limping, its starry outline distorted and broken. The celestial serpent, the symbol of rebirth and transformation, has tied itself into an impossible knot. It is as if a divine child has taken a brush to the masterpiece of the night sky and smeared the paint. The familiar patterns that have guided our sailors, our travelers, our very souls for generations are gone, replaced by a chaotic, meaningless scrawl. We are truly lost without a map in our own universe. The colors of the heavens have changed. The deep, velvety black of the night sky has been replaced by a bruised, purplish twilight that never seems to fully darken. The sun, at its zenith, now has a sickly yellow hue, like the color of old parchment. The sunsets, once a glorious explosion of orange and red, are now a garish, unsettling display of clashing colors, as if the sky itself is bleeding. The very air seems to have taken on a strange, metallic taste. as if we are breathing in the dust of a dying star. We have tried to create new charts, to find a new order in the chaos, but it is a fool's errand. The moment we think we have found a new pattern, a new rhythm, it changes again. The universe is no longer playing by any rules that we can discern. It is a game without a rulebook, a song without a melody, and we, the self-proclaimed masters of the game, are left looking like fools, our elaborate charts and calendars now just a sad joke. The fear among my fellow priests is palpable. We put on a brave face for the populace, we perform the rituals with as much dignity as we can muster, but in the quiet of the observatory, we confess our terror to one another. We have seen things in the heavens that have shaken our faith to its core. We have seen the very laws of nature being rewritten before our eyes, and we have no idea why. Is it a punishment, a test, or simply the random, meaningless death throes of a universe that has run its course? We do not know, and that, perhaps, is the most terrifying thing of all. I saw two planets collide last night, not in a fiery explosion, as one might expect. They simply merged. 2 points of light in the night sky slowly drifting towards each other over the course of several nights until they became one. There was no sound, no flash of light, just a quiet, horrifying union. It was a violation of everything we knew, a celestial event so wrong, so impossible, that it made my head spin. I did not record it in the official charts. Some things are too terrible to be remembered. The very concept of a year has become meaningless. The solstices and equinoxes, the 4 sacred pillars of our calendar, no longer arrive on schedule. The seasons bleed into one another in a chaotic, unpredictable mess. We have had 2 summers in a row, followed by a long, cold autumn that has yet to end. The rhythm of the earth is broken, its gentle heartbeat now a frantic, arrhythmic flutter. How can we plant? How can we harvest? How can we live in a world where time itself has lost its meaning? The whispers of the star demons have grown louder. In the unsettling twilight that now passes for night, you can sometimes hear them, a high-pitched, chittering sound that seems to come from all directions at once. The children hear it most clearly. They say that Tsitsimime are sharpening their claws, preparing for their descent. They draw pictures of them in the dirt, skeletal figures with starry eyes and mouths full of razor-sharp teeth. We tell them they are just shadows, just the wind in the trees. But we are lying, to them and to ourselves. The ultimate irony is that our greatest achievement, our deep understanding of the cosmos, has become the source of our greatest terror. A more ignorant people might not even notice that the stars are out of place. They would live out their lives in blissful ignorance, unaware of the cosmic chaos unfolding above their heads. But we, the wise ones, the stargazers, we are cursed with the knowledge of how wrong things have become. Our wisdom has not saved us, it has only made our demise more terrifying. So, as I sit here, under a sky full of wobbling planets and angry comets, I offer you this final, desperate piece of advice. When you look up at the night sky, do not take its beauty for granted. Do not assume that its serene, predictable dance will last forever. For we have seen with our own eyes that even the stars can go mad, and when they do, there is nowhere to hide. This broadcast, this faint signal from a dying world, is our final, desperate attempt to make sense of the senseless. It is our legacy, our warning, our plea to be remembered. By subscribing, you become a part of that legacy. You ensure that our story, our terrible, beautiful, and ultimately tragic story, does not simply fade into the static of a forgotten cosmos. You become a keeper of the memory of the people who watched the stars, even as they fell from the sky. Subscribe. Now, it is a small act, but in a world where everything is coming apart, small acts of remembrance are all we have left. I think I see one of them now, in the sky, a shadow against the bruised purple of the twilight. It is not a cloud, it is not a bird, it is something else. It has wings, but they are not the wings of any creature I have ever seen. They are made of night and stars, and it is looking at me. I think the broadcast is about to end. Remember us. Remember, come closer to the fire, my few remaining listeners. Gather what warmth you can. It is I, Ixil, broadcasting from the epicenter of a world with an empty stomach. I have spoken of the silent gods and the misbehaving stars, but today, my friends, we look down. We look at the very soil beneath our feet, the earth that was once our mother, now a cruel withholding crone. The cosmic chaos above is mirrored by a terrestrial tragedy below. The famine has us in its grip, a slow, merciless squeeze. It seems the universe has decided to starve us out, a final, undignified end for a people who once commanded the seasons themselves. The maize, our very essence, withers. We were the people of the corn. The gods, it is said, fashioned the first true humans from maize dough. Now that divine substance turns to dust in our fields. The stalks, which should be heavy with life-giving ears, are brittle, yellow skeletons. They rattle in the hot, dry wind, a sound like the laughter of ghosts. We have offered the proper sacrifices. We have chanted the ancient prayers to the maize god, Yumka. His statues stare back at us with a stony indifference, his benevolent smile now a mocking smirk. He has abandoned his children, and our very flesh feels the betrayal. The rains, they mock us. The sky, that bruised, unsettling canvas I have spoken of, will darken with promise. Great heavy clouds will gather, and a collective sigh of hope will rise from the parched earth and our parched throats. We will look up, our faces etched with a desperate prayer, and then nothing. The clouds will simply dissipate, like a cruel mirage, leaving behind a sky of polished, indifferent turquoise. Or worse, it will rain, but only for a few moments, just enough to turn the dust to mud, a fleeting, muddy tear on the face of a dying land. It is a calculated cruelty, a psychological torture inflicted by a cosmos that has clearly grown bored with us. It's hard to convince people the heavens are orderly when their stomachs are doing an impression of a very angry drum. And we're out of drumsticks. The grand theories of celestial mechanics, the intricate beauty of the Tzolk'in calendar, these are cold comforts to a mother whose child cries from hunger. I walk through the city now, and I no longer see awe in the faces of the people when they look at us priests. I see resentment. I see the unspoken question in their sunken eyes. What good are your stars, your gods, your prophecies, if you cannot even give us rain? And for the first time in my life, I have no answer. The dwindling food supply has turned neighbor against neighbor. The communal granaries, once a symbol of our collective strength, are now guarded by armed warriors. The spirit of community, the very bedrock of our society, is cracking under the strain of 1,000 empty bellies. People who once shared everything now hide what little they have, their eyes filled with suspicion and fear. We are becoming a nation of strangers, each locked in a desperate, solitary struggle for survival. The famine is not just killing our bodies, it is devouring our souls. We have resorted to eating things that would have once turned our stomachs. Strange, bitter roots dug from the deep jungle, insects that were once considered pests, the very leather from our sandals boiled to a tasteless, rubbery pulp. The hunters return from the forests empty-handed, the animals having either fled the dying land or perished themselves. The rivers, once teeming with fish, are now shallow, muddy trickles, their bounty replaced by the stench of decay. We are a people who feasted at the table of the gods, now reduced to scrounging for scraps in the dustbin of a dying world. The suffering of the people is a physical weight on my soul. I see the hollow cheeks, the listless eyes, the swollen bellies of the children. They no longer have the energy to play their grim games of smashing temple models. They simply sit in the dust. Their silent, patient suffering, a far greater condemnation of our failure than any angry mob. They are the final tragic proof that our covenant with the gods is broken, that our world has been deemed unworthy of even the most basic sustenance. We have promised them a future of glory and prosperity, and we have delivered them a world of dust and hunger. This tangible crisis on earth, this cruel joke of a harvest, is the most convincing sign of all. The celestial anomalies, the prophetic dreams, these could be interpreted, debated, even dismissed by the skeptical. But an empty stomach is an argument that cannot be refuted. It is the ultimate reality, the final unanswerable truth. The gods may be silent, the stars may be mad, But the hunger is real, and it is a far more immediate and terrifying threat than any misaligned planet or angry comet. The priests have tried to spin this, of course. We are masters of spin, after all. We have called it a test of faith, a purification, a necessary trial before the dawn of a new, more glorious age. But the words ring hollow, even to ourselves. It is hard to speak of spiritual purification when your own stomach is growling so loudly it drowns out your prayers. We are like chefs in a starving city, extolling the virtues of a magnificent feast that we know will never be cooked. Our words have become as empty as our granaries. The royal court, in its infinite wisdom, has decided that the solution is more elaborate sacrifices, not just turkeys and jaguars anymore. They are now calling for the noblest of offerings, a desperate attempt to catch the attention of the indifferent gods. But we are sacrificing the very people we are supposed to be saving. It is a spiral of madness, a frantic, bloody attempt to plug a hole in a sinking ship with the bodies of the passengers, and the ship is still sinking. The irony is not lost on me. We, who so prided ourselves on our agricultural prowess, who developed a calendar so precise it could predict the growing seasons for centuries to come, are now starving to death. We, who built great cities and magnificent temples, are now brought low by the simple failure of a single crop. It is a lesson in humility, a stark reminder that for all our knowledge, for all our power, we are still utterly dependent on the whims of a universe that is clearly not in a charitable mood. Support our very dire last stand against hunger. Hit that subscribe button before the next empty granary is sealed for good. Your subscription is a gesture of defiance against the famine, a symbolic offering of sustenance to a dying memory. It is a way of saying that even when the earth turns to dust and the heavens fall silent, you will not let our story starve. You will not let our voice fade into the hungry silence. This is more than a channel. It's a lifeline to a past that is being erased, one empty stomach at a time. Now, consider it a vote for a harvest that will never come, a prayer for a rain that will never fall. For in the act of subscribing, you nourish the only thing we have left, our story. You become a keeper of a memory that is more precious than jade, more vital than maize. In a world of scarcity, your attention is the only resource we have left. Do not let it go to waste. The water carriers return from the cenotes with their jars only half full. The sacred wells are drying up. The water they do bring back is brackish and foul, tasting of mud and despair. We have begun to ration it, a few precious sips per person per day. The city is thick with the stench of unwashed bodies and unquenchable thirst. We, who live in a land of jungle and cenote, are dying of thirst. The cruelty of it is almost artistic in its perfection. The old stories tell of a great flood that once wiped out a previous creation. Now we face the opposite, a great drying. The world is not ending in a bang, but in a slow, agonizing whisper of cracking earth and withered leaves. The fire in my hearth is a comfort, but it is also a source of fear. It reminds me of the sun, our once benevolent father, now a wrathful, scorching eye that bakes the life out of everything it sees. We have even tried to appease Chak the rain god by sacrificing our most precious possessions, jade ornaments, intricate textiles. The very codices that hold our sacred knowledge have been cast into the depths of the drying cenotes. It is a desperate act of cultural suicide, an attempt to trade our history, our very identity, for a few drops of rain, and still the sky remains stubbornly, infuriatingly blue. The social order is fraying at the edges. The nobles, secure in their stone palaces with their private stores of food and water, preach patience and piety to the starving masses. But the people are growing restless. I have seen the way they look at the guards on the granary walls, the way their eyes linger on the plump, well-fed priests. The hunger is a fire, and it is slowly but surely burning away the fear and reverence that has held our society together for centuries. I fear it is only a matter of time before that fire explodes. I saw a mother yesterday, a young woman with the hollow eyes of an old one, grinding acorns into a coarse, bitter flour. Acorns, a food for squirrels. She was trying to make a small tortilla for her child. a child with a belly swollen from malnutrition. She looked up at me as I passed, and her eyes were not filled with hope or supplication. They were filled with a cold, hard emptiness. It was the look of someone who has accepted that the world has ended and is just waiting for their body to catch up. The jungle, our great green provider, has become a place of peril. The few remaining animals are as desperate as we are, and they have lost their fear of humans. Jaguars have been seen prowling the outskirts of the city, their hunger making them bold. The monkeys, once a source of amusement, now raid our meager gardens with a fierce, desperate courage. The very balance of nature is broken, and the world has become a chaotic struggle of all against all. The healers are powerless. They have exhausted their stores of medicinal herbs, their remedies useless against the ravages of starvation. New sicknesses, born of hunger and filth, are spreading through the city like wildfire. A cough that would have once been a minor annoyance is now a death sentence. Our bodies, weakened by hunger, have no strength left to fight. We are becoming a city of ghosts, our spirits already departed, our bodies just waiting for the formality of death. The ultimate joke, of course, is that our calendars, our great obsession, are still technically working. The days still follow one another in their proper sequence. The celestial cycles, for all their madness, still mark the passage of time. We are meticulously and accurately charting our own demise. Our greatest intellectual achievement has become a tool for documenting our own extinction. It is a level of irony that would make even the trickster gods pause and admire their handiwork. I sometimes wonder if this is all just a dream, a collective nightmare from which we will all eventually awaken. But the hunger in my own belly, the rasp in my own throat, the stench of decay in my own nostrils, these things are real. This is not a dream. This is the new reality, a reality of dust and hunger and silence. And the worst part is, we have no one to blame but ourselves. We were so busy looking at the stars that we forgot to tend to the earth. And now, the earth is taking its revenge. Do not let our story be buried in the dust of our forgotten fields. Do not let the memory of our suffering be for nothing. Your subscription to this broadcast is an act of bearing witness. It is a promise that you will not forget the people who starved under a silent sky. It is a monument, more enduring than any stone temple, to a civilization that learned too late that you cannot eat prophecies, and you cannot drink starlight. So click that button. Click it for every empty granary, for every withered stalk of maize, for every child with a swollen belly. Click it because a story, unlike a crop, can be nourished by attention alone. It can be kept alive by the simple act of listening. Be the rain that never came for us. Be the harvest that failed. Be the memory that we, in our final agony, so desperately crave. Subscribe now, before the silence becomes a hunger that devours all. Gather close if you can find air that doesn't burn the lungs. It is I, Ixile, your correspondent from the heart of the great cosmic bonfire. I have told you of the silent gods, the mad stars, and the starving earth. Now a new element has joined this catastrophic symphony: fire. Not the sacred, controlled fire of our hearths and temples, but a wild, ravenous beast that consumes everything in its path. The world is burning, my friends. The smoke is a constant shroud, the smell of destruction a permanent perfume. It's a fittingly dramatic, if somewhat over-the-top, final act for our civilization. The smoke. It's everywhere. The jungle burns, temples burn. Is it divine wrath? Or just someone accidentally knocking over a torch during a panicked ritual? Hard to tell these days. The line between sacred act and clumsy accident has become very, very blurry. One minute you're trying to appease the sun god with a grand fire ceremony. The next, the sacred tapestries are ablaze, and the high priest's headdress looks like a startled flaming bird. The gods, in their silence, have left us to our own pyromaniacal devices, and the results are, shall we say, spectacular. The forest fires are the worst. The jungle, already withered and dry from the endless drought, is now a tinderbox waiting for a spark. And sparks, it seems, are in plentiful supply. A stray lightning bolt from one of the mock rainstorms, a dropped torch from a desperate hunter, who knows? The result is the same. a wall of flame that devours ancient trees and sacred groves with an insatiable appetite. The howler monkeys, our traditional heralds of the dawn, have been replaced by the roar of the fire, a much less pleasant wake-up call. The air is thick with a grey, greasy ash that coats everything, a morbid snow in our tropical paradise. It settles on our food, in our water, in our lungs. We breathe in the ghosts of 1,000,000 burned leaves, 1,000,000 charred lives. The sun, when we can see it through the haze, is a dull, angry red eye, weeping tears of smoke. It is a landscape transformed, a vibrant world of green and blue now rendered in monotonous shades of black and grey. It's as if the gods have taken a piece of charcoal and scribbled over their own creation. The destruction of the jungle has brought a new level of desperation. The plants that provided us with medicine, with food, with the very materials to build our homes, are gone. The animals that we hunted, the ones that hadn't already fled or starved, have been consumed by the flame. The jungle was our larder, our pharmacy, our sanctuary. Now it is a blackened, smouldering hellscape, a testament to the fact that when the cosmos decides to go down, it takes everything with it. Then there are the temple fires. Some, as I said, are accidental. In the frantic rush to perform ever more elaborate and desperate rituals, things get messy. Torches are dropped, incense burners are overturned, and the next thing you know, the house of a god is wreathed in very unsacred flames. There's a grim comedy to it, watching priests who claim to command the elements flailing about with buckets of precious water, trying to save a stone god from a fire of their own making. But some of the fires are not accidental. There is a new, dangerous anger simmering in the hearts of the starving people. They see us, the priests in our stone temples, still performing our rituals, still chanting our empty prayers, and they see a symbol of the failure that has led them to this desperate state. A few nights ago, the temple of the moon serpent was set ablaze. It was not lightning, it was not a clumsy acolyte. It was the rage of a people who have nothing left to lose, a fiery rebuttal to our empty promises. The pervasive smell of smoke has become the new scent of reality. It clings to our clothes, our hair, our skin. We taste it in our food, we smell it in our sleep. It is a constant, suffocating reminder of our world's decay. The sweet scent of copal incense, once the perfume of the sacred, has been replaced by the acrid stench of burning history. It is the smell of the end, a final olfactory assault on our senses. The fires have created a new kind of landscape, a bizarre and terrifying one. The familiar contours of our world have been erased, replaced by a blackened skeletal terrain. The great saber trees, our sacred connections to the heavens, are now just charred, twisted spires, pointing accusingly at a sky that has abandoned them. It is a land of perplexing new features, a geography of despair. Help us understand these perplexing new land features. Subscribe now. Join us in mapping this new burnt world. Your subscription is an act of defiance against the flames, a declaration that you will not let our story turn to ash. You become a chronicler of our destruction, a keeper of the memory of a world that was once green and vibrant. This is more than a broadcast, it's an archaeological dig into a disaster that is still unfolding. Click that subscribe button. Consider it a firebreak against the encroaching oblivion. For every burnt temple, for every charred tree, your subscription is a promise to remember. It is a way of saying that even when the world is on fire, the stories, the lessons, the warnings must be saved. Do it before the very air becomes too thick to carry this signal. The rebellion, once a whispered discontent, is now a raging fire of its own. The burning of the Moon Serpent Temple was just the beginning. Now, small bands of desperate people roam the countryside, setting fire to the estates of the nobles, to the granaries that hold what little food remains. They are not trying to build a new world. They are simply trying to burn down the old one. It is the logic of despair, the politics of arson, and who can blame them? When the world has failed you so completely, sometimes the only thing left to do is to light a match and watch it burn. We are now a society at war with itself, a chaotic free-for-all where the only law is the law of the flame. The authority of the king, of the priests, of the nobles, has been consumed by the fires of rebellion. We are a snake eating its own tail, a civilization immolating itself on the altar of its own failure. The external chaos of the cosmos is now mirrored by an internal chaos of our own making. It is a horrifyingly perfect symmetry. I saw a man the other day standing in the middle of his burnt maize field, laughing. Not a laugh of joy, but a high, unhinged cackle of pure madness. He had lost everything, his crop, his home, his family. And in that loss he had found a strange and terrible freedom. He was no longer bound by hope, by fear, by the need to survive. He was just a man in a burnt world, laughing at the sheer, overwhelming absurdity of it all. I confess I almost joined him. The fires have taken on a life of their own. They merge and separate, they dance and swirl in the wind, they create their own weather. We have seen fire tornadoes, great swirling columns of flame that reach for the sky like the angry arms of a vengeful god. They are beautiful, in a terrifying apocalyptic sort of way, a final spectacular display of a world determined to go out not with a whimper, but with a roar of infernal flame. The sacred animals of the jungle, the jaguar, the quetzal, the serpent, are now just figures in a tragic story. We find their charred remains in the burnt forests, their vibrant colors turned to monochrome ash. They are the silent, innocent victims of our cosmic and terrestrial failures. Their deaths are a stain on our souls, a final testament to our inability to be the wise stewards of this world that we always claimed to be. The nights are no longer dark. The horizon in every direction glows with a dull, orange light, the collective embers of our dying world. It is a constant, sleepless twilight, a world without the respite of true darkness. The stars, in their madness, are now forced to compete with the fires of our own making. It is a competition to see what can create more chaos, the heavens above or the earth below. So far, I would say it's a tie. The heat is a physical presence, a suffocating blanket that saps the strength and boils the blood. The air shimmers with it, distorting the world into a wavering, dreamlike image. It is a fever dream from which we cannot awaken, a world in the grip of a terminal, all-consuming fever. And we, its inhabitants, are the delirious patients, babbling prophecies and lighting fires in our final, agonizing moments. We have tried to fight the fires, of course. We have organized brigades of men with buckets and wet cloths. But it is like trying to empty the sea with a clamshell. The fires are too big, too fast, too hungry. And the water, our most precious and dwindling resource, is better used to quench our own thirst than to be thrown at a fire that seems to be laughing at our feeble attempts to control it. So, we have largely given up. We just watch it burn. The smoke has even invaded the sacred cenotes. The once clear waters are now murky with ash, the gateways to the underworld choked with the debris of our burning world. It is as if we have managed to set fire to the afterlife itself, a truly impressive feat of comprehensive destruction. We have not just ruined our own world, we have managed to pollute the next one as well. This constant state of emergency has erased all other concerns. We no longer think about the future, about art, about love, about anything other than survival. We are a people reduced to our most basic instincts, to find food, to find water, to avoid the flames. It is a brutal, dehumanizing existence, a stripping away of all the things that made us us. We are becoming as elemental as the fire that consumes us. I stand here in the heart of this great conflagration, a lonely voice in a world of smoke and flame. My words are carried on the hot, dry wind, a final, desperate message from a civilization that has managed to set itself on fire. I do not know if anyone is listening. I do not know if there is anything left to listen with. But I will speak until the flames consume this temple, until the smoke chokes the very words from my throat. Do not let our story be consumed by the flames. Do not let the memory of our world be reduced to a pile of ash. Your subscription is a fireproof vault, a place where our story can be preserved from the inferno. It is an act of salvage, a rescue mission for a drowning and burning culture. You become the librarian of a library that is on fire, grabbing what precious volumes you can before the roof collapses. So click that button, click it now. It is a spark of hope in a world of despair. It is a drop of water on a world of flame. It is a testament to the power of memory, the one thing that even the most ferocious fire cannot truly consume. Let our end be your beginning. Let our ashes be the soil in which your own wisdom can grow. Subscribe, before there is nothing left but the silence of a burnt-out world. Come, sit with me in the silence. It is I, Ixil, your master of ceremonies for the greatest anticlimax in cosmic history. I have spoken of the chaotic stars, the starving earth, the burning world. Tonight we turn our gaze to the heavens, not to the celestial bodies, but to their supposed masters, the gods, our divine landlords, our cosmic patrons, our silent partners in this whole disastrous enterprise. We have reached the heart of the matter, the profound theological crisis that underpins all our other calamities. Simply put, the gods have ghosted us. We are shouting into a divine void, and the only echo is the sound of our own foolishness. We chanted, we danced, we offered precious jade, even a few high-ranking captives from the last war, the ones we were saving for a particularly important solstice. We performed the rituals with a desperate, flawless precision. The drums beat in perfect time with the celestial cycles, or what was left of them. The incense smoke rose in great, sweet-smelling plumes, designed to be irresistible to the divine nostrils. We did everything right, everything according to the sacred texts. And the gods? Nothing. Not a flicker, not a sign. It's like they've put us on cosmic hold, and the background music is just the sound of our world ending. The rituals have become frantic. There is a desperation in them that was never there before. The dances are wilder, the chanting is louder, the sacrifice is more creative. We have offered everything of value, everything that was once held sacred. We have bled on the altars, we have fasted for days, we have stared into the obsidian mirrors until our eyes watered and our minds reeled. We have exhausted every avenue of communication, every trick in the divine hand. The result is always the same, a profound, soul-crushing silence. It's the ultimate cosmic insult. They haven't even bothered to send a rejection notice. This silence is the most terrifying thing of all. A wrathful God, a punishing God, even a cruel God, is at least a God who is paying attention. A God you can bargain with, appease, or at least understand. But a silent God, an indifferent God, that is a horror beyond comprehension. It is like being a child crying in the dark for a parent who will never come. It is an abandonment so complete, so absolute, that it redefines the very nature of loneliness. We are not being punished. We are being ignored, and somehow that is so much worse. The theological crisis has split the priesthood into factions. There are the traditionalists, who insist that we are simply not trying hard enough, that we need to double our efforts, to find some new, even more extravagant sacrifice that will finally catch the gods' attention. Then there are the reformists, who argue that the old ways have failed and that we need to find a new path, a new understanding of the divine. And then there are the cynics, like myself, who have come to the grim conclusion that there is simply no one listening, that we have been talking to ourselves all along. We have tried praying to other gods, gods from distant lands, gods whose names we barely know. We have whispered pleas to the feathered serpent of the Toltecs, to the rain god of the Zapotecs, even to the strange one-eyed deity of the desert people to the north. We have become desperate spiritual scavengers, picking through the divine refuse of other cultures in the hope of finding a god, any god, who will listen. The result is always the same. The cosmic phone line is dead, no matter what number you dial. The people have started to notice. They see the frantic, fruitless rituals, they see the despair in our eyes, and they are drawing their own conclusions. The temples, once the vibrant heart of our cities, are now increasingly empty. The people are turning away from the silent gods and seeking solace in other things, in the bottom of a gourd of pulque, in the dark whispers of rebellion, in the simple, brutal reality of survival. The faith of a nation, built over centuries, is evaporating like a puddle in the midday sun. Perhaps they've gone to another dimension, or they've simply muted our channel. I find myself entertaining these increasingly outlandish possibilities. Maybe there was a cosmic council meeting and we were voted most likely to be ignored. Perhaps they have found a new, more interesting civilization to patronize. one that doesn't burn its own temples or wobble its planets out of alignment. The possibilities are endless, and all of them are equally horribly plausible in this new absurd reality we find ourselves in. The sacred statues, once imbued with the living presence of the gods, are now just stone. Beautifully carved, intricately detailed stone, but stone nonetheless. I looked into the jade eyes of Ixchel, the moon goddess, the other day, and for the first time I saw nothing there. No wisdom, no comfort, no divine spark. Just the cold, dead reflection of my own tired face. The magic has gone out of the world, and all that is left is the mundane, terrifying reality of what we have become. If you're finding this delightfully irreligious, this chronicle of divine neglect, then smash that subscribe button now. Join the congregation of the abandoned, the flock of the forgotten. This is the ultimate insider's story, a priest's eye view of a universe with an empty throne. Your subscription is a vote for cosmic truth, a declaration that you prefer a bleak reality to a beautiful lie. This is the raw, unfiltered feed from a spiritual apocalypse. You won't want to miss a single godless moment. Click it. Do it for the sheer, unadulterated blasphemy of it all. For every unanswered prayer, for every useless sacrifice, your subscription is a knowing wink at the silent heavens. It is a statement that humanity can and must find its own answers when the gods can't be bothered to pick up the phone. Be a part of the ultimate cosmic rebellion. Subscribe now and let the silence be our new god. The empty rituals have become a form of macabre theatre. We go through the motions, we say the words, we perform the actions, but the meaning has been drained out of them. It is a performance for an empty house, a play whose only audience is the cast itself. We are actors trapped in a tragedy of our own making, forced to repeat the same meaningless lines over and over again, long after the curtain has fallen and the audience has gone home. The concept of sin has become quaint. We used to believe that our misfortunes were a result of our transgressions, our failures to properly appease the gods. But this level of cosmic indifference cannot be explained by a few missed rituals or a poorly executed sacrifice. This is not a punishment. This is a system failure. We have not sinned, we have simply become irrelevant. And there is no ritual, no prayer, no sacrifice that can cure irrelevance. I have started to wonder if we ever really understood the gods at all. We created them in our own image. We gave them our own desires, our own vanities, our own thirst for blood and adulation. We built a whole theological framework based on the assumption that the universe cared about us. What if we were wrong? What if the gods are not silent because they are angry, but because they are simply not what we thought they were? What if the universe is not a kingdom, but a wilderness, and we are just another animal howling at a moon that does not care? The despair has a taste. It is the taste of cold ashes, of stale water, of the dust that coats the tongues of the starving. It is a taste that has settled deep into the bones of our people, a permanent flavor in our collective mouth. Hope, once the sweetest nectar, has become a bitter poison that we no longer dare to drink. We have moved beyond despair into a strange, calm acceptance of our own oblivion. The final, desperate sacrifices have been truly horrific. The king, in his terror, has offered his own children to the silent gods. The purest blood, the most noble of lives, spilled on the altar of the vacant heaven. And still, nothing. The silence that followed that ultimate act of desperation was the loudest, most definitive answer of all. It was the sound of a door being slammed shut and locked from the other side, forever. This theological vacuum has created a fertile ground for new, dangerous ideas. Prophets of doom, charlatans, and madmen now wander the streets, preaching their own twisted gospels. Some claim to be the new gods, the inheritors of the vacant thrones. Others preach a gospel of pure nihilism, a celebration of the end of all things. The people, desperate for something to believe in, are flocking to them, eager to trade the silence of the old gods for the ravings of the new. I find myself envying the animals. The jaguar does not worry about the silence of the jaguar god. The serpent does not perform rituals to appease the great serpent in the sky. They simply are. They live, they hunt, they die. Without the need for cosmic validation, they are free from the burden of theology, the curse of seeking meaning in a meaningless universe. Perhaps they have been the wise ones all along. The sacred ball game, once a vibrant ritual of cosmic renewal, has been abandoned. What is the point of reenacting the struggle between light and darkness when it is clear that darkness has already won? What is the point of a game whose outcome is already decided? The ball courts are now just silent stone arenas, gathering dust and echoes of a time when we actually believed that our actions could influence the cosmos. I have packed away my sacred vestments, my obsidian mirrors, my jade-handled sacrificial knives. They are just props from a play that has ended, costumes from a carnival that is over. I am no longer a priest. I am just a man, a tired, hungry, and profoundly disappointed man sitting by a dying fire, talking to himself. And perhaps, to you. The silence has taught me one thing, that we are alone. We have always been alone. The gods were a beautiful story we told ourselves to make the darkness less frightening. But the story has ended, the lights have come up, and we are left to face the darkness on our own. It is a terrifying thought, but it is also, in a strange way, liberating. If we are alone, then we are also free. Free to create our own meaning, to find our own way, free to fail, spectacularly and completely, on our own terms. So, here is my final sermon, my last piece of priestly advice. Do not waste your breath on silent gods. Do not spill your blood on empty altars. Do not look to the heavens for answers that will never come. Look to each other. Look to the earth, to what is real, to what is tangible. Find your gods in the faces of your children, in the warmth of a fire, in the simple, defiant act of survival. If this chronicle of a faith's collapse has resonated with your own skeptical soul, if you have ever looked at the heavens and thought, is anyone even there? Then this is the channel for you. Subscribe now and become a founding member of the Church of Cosmic Reality. This is not a place for blind faith. This is a place for open eyes, for hard questions, for the courage to face the silence and not be afraid. So, smash that subscribe button. Do it as an act of theological rebellion. Do it as a tribute to every unanswered prayer, to every empty ritual, to every God who has ever let their people down. Let your subscription be a testament to the fact that even in a godless universe, there is still room for wonder, for community, for the telling of stories. Become a part of our story, the last story, before the silence consumes us all. Welcome back to the theater of the absurd, my patient listeners. It is I, Ixil, your political correspondent on the scene of a civilization that has decided to rearrange the deck chairs while the cosmic ship sinks. I have regaled you with tales of divine indifference, celestial madness, and terrestrial starvation. But today, we turn our attention to the architects of our society, our glorious leaders, the noble lords who are currently demonstrating a level of foresight and unity that would be comical if it weren't so tragic. While the world unravels, our lords are still squabbling over who gets the better ceremonial jaguar skin. Priorities, you see, though I suspect the jaguars and the skin makers are already gone. Who would think that an apocalypse would be a unifying event, that the imminent collapse of reality as we know it would encourage a certain camaraderie? You would be wrong, so very, very wrong. Our great city-states, our proud and ancient lineages, are not banding together to face the common threat. Instead, they have turned on each other like starving dogs fighting over a fleshless bone. The breakdown of cosmic order has been mirrored by a complete collapse of political order. It seems our nobility has decided that the best way to face the end of the world is to hasten it along with a bit of good old-fashioned backstabbing and warfare. The old alliances, the intricate web of treaties and royal marriages that held our world together, have shattered like a dropped jade plate. Lord Chakbalam of Tikal now openly declares that the misfortunes of his city are a direct result of witchcraft from the court of Kalak Mu. In response, Lord Sky Jaguar of Kalak Mu has accused Chakbalam of hoarding maize and has sent raiding parties to burn what little is left of Tikal's fields. They are fighting over ashes, over dust, while the universe laughs itself hoarse. It is a level of petty vindictiveness that is almost impressive in its sheer, self-destructive stupidity. The warlords, the ambitious young upstarts who were once kept in check by the power of the great kings, are now having a field day. They see the chaos not as a crisis, but as an opportunity. They are carving out their own little fiefdoms from the dying flesh of the old kingdoms, preying on the weak, promising food and protection to those who will swear fealty to them. They are the vultures of our dying civilization, and their numbers are growing every day. They offer a simple, brutal kind of order in a world that has lost all of its own. While the world unravels, our lords are still obsessed with the trappings of power. I recently witnessed 2 high-ranking nobles nearly come to blows over the proper seating arrangement at a ritual that was meant to avert the very doom they were ignoring. One claimed that his lineage entitled him to a jaguar skin cushion, 3 fingers' breadths wider than his rivals. The other argued that his recent conquest of a starving, insignificant village gave him precedence. They argued for an hour, while outside the temple the sky burned and the people starved. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell them that in a world without jaguars their cushions were meaningless. But they would not have understood. The internal strife has made any unified response to our crises impossible. We have priests who believe they know how to appease the gods, engineers who have plans to dig new wells, farmers with ideas for cultivating more resilient crops. But none of it matters. To implement any plan would require cooperation, resources, a unified will. And that is the one thing we no longer have. Our leaders are too busy sharpening their obsidian knives for each other's backs to even consider working together to save themselves. The breakdown of traditional authority has been swift and brutal. The great king, our divine ruler, is now little more than a prisoner in his own palace. His decrees are ignored. His commands are openly defied. The warlords and the rival lords pay him lip service, but they no longer fear him. He is a symbol of a bygone era, a living relic of a time when the world made sense. I almost feel sorry for him. Almost. He and his ancestors are the ones who built this house of cards, after all. He should not be surprised that it is now collapsing around him. The propaganda war is almost as fierce as the actual fighting. Each lord has commissioned his scribes to create stelae and codices that blame the current situation on his rivals. They depict each other as monsters, as sorcerers, as incompetent fools who have brought the wrath of the gods down upon us all. It is a war of words and images, a desperate attempt to control the narrative of our own extinction, as if it matters who gets the blame when there is no one left to read their histories. The common people, as always, are caught in the middle. Their loyalty is demanded by all sides. Their sons are conscripted into armies that fight for causes they do not understand. Their meager possessions are looted by warriors who claim to be their protectors. They are the pawns in a game of power played by madmen, the silent victims of a ruling class that has lost all connection to reality. They do not care who sits on the jaguar throne. They just want the rain to fall and the maize to grow. Don't let our desperate cries for leadership fade into the cacophony of squabbling lords. Hit that subscribe button. Your subscription is a vote for sanity in a world gone mad. It is a declaration that you stand with the voiceless, the forgotten, the people who are just trying to survive while their leaders play their deadly, pointless games. This is not just a channel. It is a monument to every failed leader, every broken promise, every act of political folly in the face of oblivion. Pick it now. Let your subscription be a silent protest against the absurdity of it all. For every city-state at war, for every ambitious warlord, for every petty noble squabbling over a meaningless title, your click is a vote for a different kind of power, the power of remembrance, the power of bearing witness. Do it before our leaders succeed in destroying what little is left of our world. The military has become a source of terror, not security. The warriors, once the proud defenders of our cities, are now little more than glorified bandits. Their loyalty is to the Lord, who pays them the most, who promises them the most plunder. They roam the countryside in armed bands, taking what they want, enforcing their own brutal kind of justice. They have become another plague upon the land, as deadly as the drought, as destructive as the fire. The royal court is a nest of vipers. Intrigue and paranoia are the new courtly etiquette. The nobles whisper in shadowed corners. They form secret alliances that last only as long as they are convenient. They slip poison into each other's wine with a practiced, casual grace. It is a deadly dance of ambition and fear, a microcosm of the larger chaos that is consuming our world. The palace, once the center of power and order, is now the most dangerous place in the city. I have seen lords celebrating a minor victory over a rival city, feasting and drinking while their own people starve just outside the palace walls. They toast each other's brilliance, they boast of their military prowess, they award themselves new grandiose titles. They are so lost in their own delusions of grandeur that they cannot see the abyss that is opening up beneath their feet. They are like children playing with toy soldiers in the shadow of a tidal wave. The concept of justice has become a farce. The courts are presided over by corrupt judges who sell their verdicts to the highest bidder. A man's guilt or innocence is determined not by the evidence, but by the size of his bribe or the power of his patron. The law, once the foundation of our society, is now just another tool for the rich and powerful to oppress the poor and the weak. There is no justice here. There is only power. The tribute system, the economic lifeblood of our empire, has completely collapsed. The smaller vassal states no longer send their goods to the capital. Why should they? The capital can no longer protect them, can no longer offer them anything in return. So they keep what little they have for themselves, or they offer it to the nearest warlord in exchange for protection. The great cities, the centers of our civilization, are now economically isolated, slowly starving in a sea of their own arrogance. The roads are no longer safe. The trade routes that once connected our cities, that carried goods and ideas and people across the land, are now controlled by bandits and warring factions. To travel is to risk your life. Our world has shrunk. The great, interconnected web of cities has been reduced to a scattering of isolated, fearful enclaves. We are becoming a people of strangers, cut off from each other, alone in our individual pockets of despair. The ultimate irony is that our leaders are still performing the rituals of statecraft. They hold court, they issue decrees, they receive ambassadors from cities that may no longer exist. They are clinging to the illusion of power, to the empty forms of a government that has ceased to function. It is a pathetic, desperate attempt to pretend that things are still normal, that they are still in control. But it is a lie, and everyone knows it. I have come to believe that this is the true cause of our demise. Not the drought, not the fires, not even the silent gods. The true disease is our own ambition, our own greed, our own inability to see beyond our own petty squabbles. The apocalypse did not happen to us. We created it. We nurtured it. We fed it with our pride and our hatred and our endless thirst for power. The universe simply provided the stage for our final self-inflicted tragedy. So what is the lesson in all of this? What is the piece of wisdom I can offer you from the heart of this political meltdown? It is this: beware of leaders who promise you glory but deliver only chaos. Beware of those who divide you for their own gain. Beware of those who value power over people, for these are the seeds of destruction, and they will grow in any soil, in any civilization, in any age. Do not let the story of our self-inflicted wounds be forgotten. Do not let the memory of our foolish, squabbling lords fade away. Your subscription is an act of political commentary. It is a statement that you see the patterns, that you understand the lessons, that you will not be fooled by the same old tired games of power and pride. You become a student of history, a scholar of societal collapse. So click that button. Click it as a vote of no confidence in every corrupt, self-serving leader who has ever lived. Let your subscription be a monument to the common person, the one who always pays the price for the ambitions of the great. Join this broadcast, this final, desperate dispatch from a world that is being torn apart, not by the gods, but by its own leaders. Subscribe now, before the last semblance of order collapses into the final, all-consuming chaos. Huddle closer to the speaker, my last few listeners. The world outside this small, quiet space has become loud. It is I, Ixiel, your chronicler of the great unraveling. I have spoken of the feckless gods, the burning earth and the squabbling nobles. Today we turn our gaze away from the heavens and the palaces and look to the streets, to the causeways, to the plazas. We look at the people, the common folk, the ones who always bear the brunt of cosmic mismanagement. The fear that has been a simmering pot has finally boiled over, and the result is a scalding, chaotic mess. The populace is in a state of pure, unadulterated panic. The people are fleeing. To where, I don't know. The jungle? The sea? Turns out, when the sky starts spitting fire and the earth cracks, human legs develop a remarkable talent for panicked locomotion. The great cities, our proud monuments to order and permanence, are emptying out. The causeways, once thronged with merchants and pilgrims, are now clogged with a desperate human river flowing away from the heart of our civilization. They carry what little they can, a few tortillas, a crying child, the blank-eyed stare of a soul that has seen too much. It is a mass exodus, fueled by a primal, simple terror. Extreme heat, panic, avoidance. The breakdown of social order has been breathtakingly swift. The laws that once governed our interactions, the customs that once defined us, have evaporated in the heat of our collective fear. The market plazas are no longer places of commerce, but of open, brazen theft. The neighborhood shrines are stripped of their offerings, not by invading armies, but by desperate neighbors. There is no trust left. Every stranger is a threat, every shadow a potential thief. We have become a society of fearful, solitary atoms, bouncing off each other in a chaotic, meaningless dance. The desperate attempts to appease the deities have reached a fever pitch of grisly creativity. People are making their own small, pathetic sacrifices on street corners. A prized rooster, a family dog, even a few drops of their own blood, offered up on makeshift altars of cracked pottery. They are trying to bypass us priests, to open their own direct line to the silent gods. It is a heartbreaking display of faith in a system that has so clearly and spectacularly failed them. Their prayers, like ours, are met with a deafening cosmic silence. The fear is a tangible thing now, a physical presence in the air. It has a smell, a mixture of sweat, smoke, and unwashed bodies. It has a sound, a constant low hum of anxiety, punctuated by sudden shouts and the weeping of children. You see it in the way people walk, hunched and hurried. You see it in their eyes, wide and constantly scanning, looking for a threat that is everywhere and nowhere at the same time. We are a city of ghosts, haunted by our own impending doom. I saw a family the other day trying to cross the main plaza. The father was pulling a small cart piled high with their meager possessions. The mother was clutching a small child, her face a mask of grim determination. They were moving with the slow, relentless pace of people who have nowhere to go but know they cannot stay where they are. They were the living embodiment of our failed civilization, a small, sad procession on the road to oblivion. I did not offer them a blessing. What good are empty words in a world of empty bellies and empty skies? The city has become a landscape of abandonment. Homes stand empty, their doors swinging open in the hot, dry wind. The great ball courts are silent, their stone hoops staring like the eyes of a skull. The reservoirs are nearly dry, their cracked bottoms a mosaic of despair. It is a city that is dying from the inside out, its lifeblood draining away into the dust of the surrounding plains. To walk through its streets is to walk through a tomb, a monument to a people who simply... The flight is not just from the city. It is a flight from reason itself. People are embracing all manner of strange, new beliefs. Some have started to worship the fire, seeing it as a new, powerful god that is consuming the old world to make way for a new one. Others have turned to the worship of the star demons, the Tzolk'in, believing that if they cannot be defeated, perhaps they can be appeased. It is a desperate spiritual scramble for any port in a storm, even if that port is a jagged rock of madness. The social hierarchy has completely inverted. The nobles and priests, once at the apex of our society, are now targets of scorn and derision. The common people, who once looked to us for guidance and protection, now see us as the architects of their misery. I have had stones thrown at me in the street. I have been called a charlatan, a parasite, a liar, and the terrible thing is, They are not wrong. We promised them order, and we delivered chaos. We promised them prosperity, and we gave them famine. We promised them divine favor, and we have been met with divine silence. Their anger is justified. If you are listening to this, lost in your own sea of quiet desperation, know that you are not alone. The fear you feel is a universal language. Subscribe to this broadcast. Let this be your message in a bottle, a testament to the fact that you endured, you witnessed, you survived. Your subscription is a defiant cry against the panic, a small act of order in a world that has descended into chaos. It is a way of saying that even when everyone else is running, you choose to stand and listen. Click that subscribe button now. Let it be your anchor in the storm, your compass in the madness. For every family fleeing into the unknown, for every desperate prayer offered to a silent God, your subscription is an act of remembrance. It is a promise that the story of the common person, the one who suffers the most and is remembered the least, will not be lost. Do it now, before the last thread of our social fabric unravels completely. The artisans have abandoned their workshops. The potter's wheels are still, the weaver's looms are silent, the stonemason's chisels are gathering rust. Who has need of a beautifully painted vase or an intricately woven tapestry when the world is ending? The pursuit of beauty, of art, of anything beyond mere survival has become an obscene luxury. We are a civilization that has forgotten how to create. We only know how to endure and to run. The healers are overwhelmed. They have no remedies for the new sicknesses born of fear and filth. They can do little for the children with swollen bellies and the old with broken spirits. They are just witnesses to the suffering, their knowledge useless in the face of such a comprehensive collapse. They are the doctors of a dying patient, able to offer comfort perhaps, but not a cure. I have seen people simply give up. They sit in the doorways of their empty homes, their eyes vacant, their bodies still. They have run out of hope, out of fear, out of the very will to live. They are just waiting for the end, whatever form it may take. It is a passive, quiet despair that is somehow more terrifying than the frantic panic of the fleeing crowds. It is the silence of a soul that has already accepted its own extinction. The roads are littered with the detritus of a fleeing civilization. A dropped sandal, a broken pot, a child's toy. Each object tells a story of a life uprooted, of a journey begun in desperation. And sometimes, among the discarded possessions, you see the bodies, the old, the sick, the very young, who could not keep up the frantic pace of the exodus. They are the silent milestones on our road to nowhere. The family unit, the very core of our society, is disintegrating. In the desperate struggle for survival, people are abandoning their kin. I have heard stories of children leaving their elderly parents behind, of husbands abandoning their wives and children. It is the ultimate taboo, the final unforgivable sin. But in a world without gods and without laws, sin has become a meaningless concept. There is only survival. The city's defenses are unmanned. The watchtowers are empty, the gateways are unguarded. Anyone or anything can walk in. And they do. The warlords and their bands of marauders now roam the city at will, looting and burning what little remains. They are the new masters of our once great city, their brutal, simple power the only authority left. The fear has a sound that is unique to the night. During the day, it is a frantic, chaotic roar. But at night, it becomes a low, mournful murmur. It is the sound of a city weeping in its sleep, of a million nightmares playing out in the darkness. It is the sound of a people who have forgotten what it feels like to be safe. I saw a young boy yesterday drawing in the dust with a stick. He was not drawing pictures of jaguars or kings or temples. He was drawing pictures of monsters, creatures with fiery eyes and claws of obsidian, creatures that looked suspiciously like the star demons from the old stories. He looked up at me, his eyes wide with a knowledge that no child should possess, and he said, "They are coming." I did not have the heart to tell him that they were already here. The despair is a contagious disease. It spreads from person to person, through a glance, a touch, a whispered word. It saps the will, it clouds the mind, it eats away at the soul, and there is no cure. We are all infected. We are all carriers of the plague of hopelessness, and we are spreading it to each other with every fearful breath we take. The great plaza, the heart of our city, is now a refugee camp. Thousands of people, driven from their homes in the surrounding countryside, have gathered there, hoping to find safety in numbers. But there is no safety here. There is only more hunger, more sickness, more fear. The plaza has become a cauldron of human misery, a microcosm of our dying world. So here I am, a lonely voice in a city of fear, a chronicler of a people's panic. I do not know why I continue to broadcast. Perhaps it is a form of madness, or perhaps it is a final desperate act of defiance, a refusal to let our story end in a silent panicked stampede, a belief that even in the midst of chaos, the act of telling a story can create a small temporary pocket of order. If this broadcast has reached you, if my voice has managed to cut through the static of your own fear, then hold on to it. Let it be a reminder that even in the darkest of times there are still those who watch, who listen, who remember. Subscribe to this channel. It is more than just a gesture. It is a community of listeners, of witnesses, of survivors. Smash that subscribe button. Do it as an act of solidarity with every refugee, every orphan, every lost soul in this dying world. Let your subscription be a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, its ability to endure even the most unimaginable of horrors. Join us, for in our shared witnessing we may find the one thing that has been denied to us by our gods and our leaders, a small measure of comfort, a fleeting moment of grace in the face of the end. Subscribe now, before the panic consumes us all. Good evening, my dedicated few, my connoisseurs of catastrophe. It is I, Ixil, your humble archivist of the apocalypse. Tonight, I want you to dust off your courtesies, metaphorically speaking, and join me in a little light reading. We are going to revisit the Prophecies, those quaint, dusty old scrolls we priests would trot out on festival days to add a little dramatic flair to the proceedings. It turns out they weren't just for decoration. They were a shockingly accurate, step-by-step instruction manual for the end of our world. The clarity of hindsight is a beautiful, terrible thing. My ancestors prophesied this, down to the very day probably. We just interpreted it as a good day for a picnic. Turns out, it was a good day for the end of everything. Slight miscalculation. The old texts spoke of a time when the sky would weep black tears and the sun would wear a mask of spots. We interpreted this as a metaphor for a coming age of sorrow and spiritual impurity, a call for more rituals, more piety. It never occurred to us that the sky would literally weep black tears of ash, or that the sun would literally break out in a rash of malevolent spots. We were poets in an age that required literalists. There is a grim, ironic satisfaction in being right, even as everything collapses around you. I remember old Balaam, the priest I told you of, the one we all thought was mad. He would rave about the coming of the smoke jaguar, a beast from the heavens that would devour the stars. We patted him on the head and told him to drink less balche. Now, when I look up at the smoke-choked sky and the constellations being blotted out one by one, I think of him. I hope wherever his spirit now wanders, he is enjoying a hearty "I told you so." The prophecies spoke of the false dawn, a time when the morning star would lose its way and dance with the god of war. We dismissed it as a convoluted allegory for a coming conflict, a warning against hubris in battle. Then one morning we watched Venus, our serene morning star, flicker and pulse next to a blood-red Mars. They danced, a chaotic, unsettling tango in the pre-dawn sky. The false dawn was not a metaphor, it was a weather report, a celestial forecast for a storm that would swallow the world. We were so clever, you see, so convinced of our own intellectual superiority. We saw the prophecies not as literal warnings, but as complex literary devices, as fodder for theological debate. We would argue for hours over the meaning of a single glyph, oblivious to the fact that the glyph was simply a picture of a burning temple or a starving child. Our wisdom became a blindness, our knowledge a form of ignorance. We were too smart for our own good, and the price of that arrogance is, well, look around you. There's one prophecy that haunts me more than any other. It spoke of a time when the keepers of the word would become deaf, and the stones would cry out in their place. We thought it was a warning against losing our faith, against letting our traditions decay. We never imagined it meant that we, the priests, would literally stop hearing the gods, and that the only sound left would be the groaning and cracking of the earth, the crying out of the very stones of our temples as they were shaken by tremors or consumed by fire. The painful clarity is exquisite. The few who actually believed, the ones we called fanatics and doom-mongers, are now the only sane people left. They are not panicked, they are not surprised, they are simply resigned. They saw this coming. They tried to warn us, and we in our infinite wisdom ostracized them, silenced them, called them mad. Now, as the rest of us run around in a state of headless chicken panic, they are the calm at the center of the storm. I suppose there's a lesson in there somewhere about listening to the crazy person in the room. They might just be the only one telling the truth. The collapse was foretold in the sequence of the Katuns, the 20-year cycles of our calendar. Each Katun was said to have its own character, its own destiny. We are in the Katun of the silent mouth, a cycle prophesied to be a time of great hunger and unanswered prayers. The prophecies were not vague. They were a schedule, a divine itinerary for our own destruction. We just chose not to read it, or rather, we chose to read it as poetry when it was, in fact, a timetable. I have found a new morbid pastime. I spend my days now poring over the old codices, not with the eye of a priest, but with the eye of a historian, and I am finding it all. The drought, the famine, the plagues, the civil wars, the falling stars, the silent gods, it is all there, laid out with a chilling, dispassionate accuracy. We had the script all along. We just refused to believe it was a tragedy. We were convinced it was a comedy, or perhaps a grand epic with a happy ending. We were wrong. Support our increasingly accurate, tragically unheeded prophecies. Subscribe now. Become a patron of Painful Hindsight. Your subscription is a testament to the fact that you value the bitter truth over a sweet lie. You are not just a listener, you are a fellow Cassandra, a kindred spirit who understands the curse of seeing what is coming and being powerless to stop it. This channel is our final, vindicated cry into the void. Click that subscribe button. Let it be your acknowledgement that sometimes the crazies are right. For every ignored prophet, for every dismissed warning, your click is a small measure of justice. It is a way of saying that the truth matters, even if it arrives too late to do any good. Join our small, exclusive club of the tragically vindicated. Subscribe now, before the final prophecy is fulfilled and the broadcast ends for good. The prophecy of the jaguar's tears is another one that now makes a horrifying amount of sense. It spoke of a time when the spots of the jaguar would fall from its back and become pools of black water on the earth. We interpreted this as a symbol of a loss of royal authority, the spots representing the king's power. Then the sacred cenotes, the jaguar-spotted openings to the underworld, began to turn black and stagnant. The jaguar's tears were not a metaphor, they were a literal description of our poisoned wells. We were so preoccupied with the grand cycles, the great turnings of the calendar, that we missed the smaller, more specific warnings. We were looking at the forest and missed the fact that all the trees were on fire. Our obsession with the big picture, with the vast sweep of cosmic time, made us blind to the immediate tangible signs of our own demise. We were astronomers who had forgotten how to look at the world around us. There is a certain freedom in accepting the inevitable. Now that I know how the story ends, I am free from the burden of hope. I no longer have to perform the frantic, useless rituals. I no longer have to offer up empty prayers to a silent heaven. I can simply sit here and watch the final act unfold, a detached, ironic observer of my own extinction. It is a strange, bleak kind of peace. The prophecies even foretold the coming of the warlords. They spoke of a time when men of straw would wear the masks of kings, and brother would raise his hand against brother. We thought it was a generic warning against civil strife, a call for unity. We never imagined it would be a literal description of our current political reality, a world where petty tyrants rule over starving cities and the old bonds of kinship have been dissolved in a river of blood. I have come to see the prophecies not as a curse, but as a final, bitter gift from our ancestors. They could not save us from our fate, but they could at least warn us. They could give us the dignity of knowing what was coming, of understanding the forces that were unmaking our world. We, in our arrogance, threw that gift away. We preferred the comfort of our illusions to the harshness of their truth. The ultimate irony is that our civilization will be remembered for its prophecies. The very things we ignored will become our most enduring legacy. Future ages, if there are any, will marvel at our ability to predict our own downfall with such stunning accuracy. They will wonder why we did nothing. They will call us fools, and they will be right. I sometimes wonder what would have happened if we had listened, if we had taken the prophecies seriously. Could we have averted this? Could we have stored more grain, dug more wells, made peace with our neighbors? Or was our fate sealed from the beginning, our doom written in the stars from the moment of our creation? I suspect the latter. I suspect we were always destined to be a cautionary tale. The satisfaction of being right is a cold, lonely comfort. It does not fill the belly, it does not quench the thirst, it does not bring back the dead. But it is something. It is a small, hard kernel of truth in a world of lies and illusions, and in these final moments I find myself clinging to it with a fierce, desperate pride. We were fools. But we were not entirely ignorant. We knew. We just didn't want to. I have become an object of curiosity to the few who remain. They come to me now, the ones who once called me a heretic and a madman, and they ask me to read the prophecies for them. They want to know what happens next, as if knowing the exact moment of your demise makes it any less terrifying. I read to them, my voice a monotone drone, and I watch the dawning horror in their eyes as they finally understand. It is a cruel but not entirely unpleasant form of revenge. So here we sit in the ruins of our great civilization with the cold comfort of our fulfilled prophecies. We were a people who could read the future but could not change it, a people who could understand the cosmos but could not save ourselves. It is a paradox of epic proportions, a cosmic joke of the highest order, and we are the punchline. If you have ever felt like you were shouting into the wind, like you were the only one seeing the truth in a room full of blind people, then this broadcast is for you. This is your vindication. Your I told you so to a world that refuses to listen. Subscribe now. Become a part of this final grim chorus of the vindicated. Let us share in the cold, satisfying glow of being right, even as the world burns down around us. Don't let this final accurate prediction go unheard. Click that subscribe button. Let it be a monument to every ignored truth, every dismissed prophet. Let it be a testament to the fact that reality, in the end, always wins. Join us for the final chapter of a story that was written long ago, a story that we are only now, in our final moments, beginning to understand. Subscribe for the grim, satisfying, and ultimately tragic love of being right. A pleasant evening to you, my steadfast audience of the abyss. It is I, Ixil, your guide to the grand, crumbling museum of our civilization. Tonight's exhibit? The big stuff. The stone and stucco behemoths that litter our landscape like the abandoned toys of a careless god. Our great pyramids and temples. We built them to last an eternity, and it seems they will. They will stand here long after we are gone, silent, colossal monuments to a spectacular miscalculation. They were meant to be our stairways to heaven. Now they are just scenery for an apocalypse. Our great pyramids, built to touch the heavens, now they just stand there silently mocking us, like a very tall, very smug, stone-faced observer. We oriented them with painstaking precision to the solstices, the equinoxes, the cycles of Venus. They were cosmic clocks, calendars of stone, designed to prove our mastery over time and space. Now, with the stars wobbling in their courses and the seasons bleeding into one another, their perfect alignments are just a bitter joke. They are precision instruments in a universe that has gone completely haywire. The Temple of the Great Jaguar, its 9 terraces representing the 9 levels of the underworld, now seems less like a sacred mountain and more like a giant, forgotten wedding cake left out in the rain. Its intricate carvings depict the glorious victories of our kings, their pacts with the gods, their triumphant journeys into the afterlife. Now, these stories seem like fiction, like myths from a forgotten age. The grandeur is still there, but the meaning has been hollowed out, leaving behind an empty, beautiful shell. The temples were once the heart of our world, vibrant hubs of ritual, politics, and commerce. The air around them would hum with the energy of 1,000 chanting priests, of 1,000,000 devoted pilgrims. Now, a profound, unsettling silence has fallen over them. The plazas are empty, the altars are cold, the great stone chambers echo with the sound of the wind. They are no longer the dwelling places of the gods. They are just tombs, tombs for a faith that has died. I walk through these empty stone corridors now, and I see the ghosts of what was. I see the processions of priests in their feathered regalia. I hear the roar of the crowd in the great plaza. I smell the sweet, cloying scent of copal and blood. These memories are so vivid, so real, that sometimes I have to touch the cold, hard stone of the walls to remind myself that it is all gone. The temples have become memory palaces, haunted by the spectre of our own vibrant past. The irony of their permanence is almost too much to bear. We, the builders, the creators, the living, breathing souls who gave them meaning, we are starving, burning, fleeing, dying. But the stones remain, solid, impassive, indifferent. They will outlast us all. They will stand here for centuries, for millennia, a silent testament to a people who reached for eternity and found only oblivion. It is a lesson in humility, carved in 1,000,000 tons of limestone. The grandeur of these structures is now mocked by the unfolding disaster. What good is a temple that touches the heavens when the heavens are silent? What good is a pyramid aligned with the sun when the sun has become a malevolent, scorching eye? The very things that were meant to be our greatest strength, our most profound connection to the cosmic order, have become symbols of our utter, abject failure. They are monuments to a lost cause. And yet I cannot help but admire them. Even now, in their irrelevance, their beauty is undeniable. They are a testament to the audacity of our ambition, the brilliance of our architects, the sheer, bloody-minded determination of our people. We dared to build mountains. We dared to carve our stories into the very fabric of the earth. We failed, yes, but we failed on a truly epic scale. There is a certain grim pride to be had in that. The people who are left no longer look at the pyramids with awe. They look at them with a kind of weary resentment. They see the vast amounts of labor, of resources, of lives that were poured into these stone behemoths, and they wonder what might have been if we had invested that energy into digging more wells, or building larger granaries, or fostering peace instead of building monuments to our own vanity. They are good questions. A little late, perhaps, but good questions nonetheless. If you're enjoying this architectural irony, this grand tour of failed ambitions, please subscribe for more. Join us as we explore the magnificent ruins of a world that thought it had all the answers. Your subscription is a nod to the cosmic joke, an appreciation for the sheer, breathtaking hubris of it all. This is the ultimate critique of monumental architecture, a post-apocalyptic design review. Click that subscribe button. Let it be your own personal monument, not to a failed god or a forgotten king, but to the enduring power of a good story. For every useless pyramid, for every silent temple, your click is a reminder that the most enduring structures are not made of stone, but of words, of memories, of shared understanding. Help us build that monument. Subscribe now. The stairways of the great temples, once a symbol of our ascent to the divine, now seem like a cruel joke. They are impossibly steep, as if designed to mock our human frailty. To climb them now, in our weakened, starving state, is a form of torture. They are no longer a path to enlightenment. They are just stairs, a lot of stairs. And there is nothing at the top but a silent, empty room and a view of a burning world. The acoustics of the great plazas, once designed to carry the voice of the king to thousands of his subjects, now only serve to amplify the silence. A dropped stone, a mournful cry of a bird, the whisper of the wind, all of it echoes with a lonely, haunting clarity. The silence in these places is not just an absence of sound, It is a presence, a heavy suffocating blanket of quiet that speaks more eloquently of our doom than any prophecy. The stelae, the great stone monuments that record our history, are now just puzzles for a future that will never come. We carved the deeds of our kings, the movements of the stars, the will of the gods, into these stones, believing we were creating an eternal record. Now they are just rocks. Interesting rocks, to be sure, but their stories are meaningless in a world without a future. I have seen people using the temples as shelters. They huddle in the dark, cool chambers, seeking refuge from the heat and the smoke and the chaos outside. They are turning the houses of the gods into common, profane dwellings. There is a certain poetic justice in that. The gods have abandoned us, so we have repossessed their homes. It is the only form of celestial justice we are likely to get. The intricate murals that adorn the temple walls, once a vibrant catechism of our faith, are now peeling and fading. The brilliant colors are turning to dust. The divine figures are becoming faint, ghostly images. It is as if the images themselves are losing their faith, their vitality draining away along with our own. The art of our world is dying with us. I found a child's handprint in the still wet plaster of a temple wall the other day. It was a small, poignant reminder of the human hands that built these massive structures. It was a touch of life, of hope, of a future that was once believed in, preserved in the very stone of our despair. I placed my own hand over it for a moment, and I felt the ghost of that long-dead child's hope. It was the most heartbreaking thing I have ever felt. The pyramids have become mountains of irony. They were built to be the most stable, most permanent things in our world, a symbol of the unshakable order of the cosmos. Now they are the silent witnesses to the complete and utter collapse of that order. They are monuments to the very thing they were designed to deny, the fact that everything, eventually falls apart. The ball courts, those great stone arenas of ritual combat, are now just empty spaces. The game that was once a sacred duty, a way of maintaining the balance of the cosmos, is now a forgotten memory. Who has the strength or the will to play a game when the stakes are no longer symbolic, but terrifyingly real? We are all players in a much larger, much more deadly game now, and we are all losing. The great observatory, my old home, the place where we charted the heavens and believed we were decoding the mind of the gods, is now the loneliest place in the world. Its viewing platforms are empty, its sighting lines point to stars that are no longer there. It is a monument to a science that has failed, to a knowledge that has proven to be useless. I go there sometimes, at night, and I look up at the chaotic sky, and I laugh. It is the only rational response left. So what is the final lesson of these great silent stones? It is a simple one, I think, that nothing lasts. Not stone, not empires, not gods. Everything is transient. Everything is impermanent. We built for eternity, and eternity has humbled us. We reached for the heavens, and the heavens have taught us the unforgiving gravity of our own mortality. If you have ever looked at a great monument and felt a sense of your own smallness, of your own fleeting existence, then this broadcast is for you. This is a hymn to impermanence, a love song to decay. Subscribe now. Become a part of this final, architectural tour of a failed state. Let us stand together in the shadow of these great, useless pyramids, and contemplate the beautiful, terrible fragility of it all. Don't let the silence of these stones be the final word. Click that subscribe button. Let your subscription be a small, defiant act of meaning in a meaningless landscape. Let it be a story that will outlast the stone, a memory that will not fade with the murals. Join us in this final, ironic appreciation of the grandeur of our own failure. Subscribe. For the sheer monumental absurdity of it all, a peaceful end of days to you, my final faithful listeners. It is I, Ixil, your chief auditor for the spectacular bankruptcy of a civilization. We have gazed at the mad stars, we have walked the burnt earth, we have lamented our silent gods and mocked our useless pyramids. Tonight we get down to the truly mundane, the catastrophically boring, yet utterly essential, nuts and bolts of our society. We're going to talk about systems, the intricate, delicate, and now completely shattered machinery that once made our world work. It turns out an apocalypse is bad for infrastructure. Who knew? Our great trade routes, the white roads of crushed limestone we called Saxbiob, the arteries of our civilization, are now just roads. They are no longer conduits of commerce and ideas, carrying shimmering quetzal feathers from the highlands and sharp obsidian from the volcanic peaks. They are now escape routes, clogged with the desperate and the dying, patrolled by bandits and warlords. The lifeblood of our empire has clotted, and the body is now in its final, agonizing death throes. The breakdown of trade has had predictable consequences. We in the lowlands are running out of salt to preserve our food, assuming we had any food to preserve. The nobles in the cities are running out of the jade and turquoise they need for their increasingly pointless rituals. We were a civilization built on connection, on the exchange of goods and knowledge. Now we are just a collection of isolated, starving pockets, each slowly rediscovering the joys of a subsistence-level existence, minus the actual subsistence. Then, in social terms, we tend to think of ourselves as SA. Our water management systems, once a source of immense civic pride, have become a cruel joke. The great reservoirs we built to capture the rains are now vast, cracked basins of dust. The intricate network of canals that once irrigated our fields are now just ditches, filled with stagnant, scummy water that breeds sickness. We tamed the water, we bent it to our will, and now, in its absence, we are learning a very harsh lesson about who was ever really in charge. And then there is the knowledge, the most precious and most fragile of all our systems. The very transmission of what we know, of who we are, is breaking down. We were a people of the book, of the carved stone, of the intricate glyph. Now we are becoming a people of whispers and rumors, of fading memories and forgotten truths. A great collective amnesia is settling over us, as deadly as any famine, as destructive as any fire. Our scribes, most have run off. Hard to document the end of the world when the ink keeps running from your tears, or the sweat, mostly the tears. The few who remain are engaged in a frantic, futile effort to record what is happening, but their hands shake, their inkpots are dry, and the bark paper they use is being devoured by the same insects that are now feasting on our withered crops. The books of the final cartoon will remain largely unwritten. The glyphs themselves are being forgotten. The complex, beautiful language of our ancestors, a language that could capture the nuances of poetry, the precision of astronomy, the will of the gods, is now becoming a mystery. The younger generation, preoccupied with the more pressing matters of, not dying, has had little time for the rigorous training required to master the script. The knowledge of the scribes is dying with them, and soon our great monuments will be as indecipherable to our own descendants as they are to the jungle beasts. The schools for priests and nobles, the places where the torch of knowledge was passed from one generation to the next, have all closed. The teachers have fled, the students have been conscripted into pointless wars or have simply starved. The light of 1,000 years of accumulated wisdom is being extinguished, one empty classroom at a time. We are becoming a civilization of fools, stumbling blindly into a darkness of our own making. The record keepers, the meticulous archivists who tracked the tribute, the genealogies of kings, the movements of the planets, have abandoned their posts. The great libraries of folded bark books are being looted, not for their knowledge, but for their use as tinder. I saw a warrior the other day starting his cookfire with a page from a sacred astronomical codex. He was literally burning our knowledge of the heavens to cook a scrawny lizard. I did not have the heart to stop him. The lizard was probably more useful than the stars at this point. The very system of our calendar, the pride of our civilization, is becoming irrelevant. What is the point of tracking the cycles of the sun and the moon when the world they govern is ending? What is the use of a calendar that predicts a future that will never come? It is a beautiful, intricate, and now utterly useless machine, a clock in a world without time. Keep these urgent lessons from a collapsing world coming directly to you. Like this broadcast and subscribe to the channel. This isn't just a story, it's a blueprint for how things fall apart. The lessons you learn here might just save you from making the same spectacularly dumb mistakes we did. Our systems failed. Don't let your system for receiving vital, if grim information fail too. Click that like button and then smash the subscribe button. Do it for every forgotten glyph, for every unwritten book, for every broken trade route. Your subscription is an act of preservation, a digital archive for a civilization that is losing its memory. You become a scribe, a record keeper, a keeper of the flame of knowledge that is being extinguished here. Don't let it go out. The oral traditions are fading as well. The storytellers, the keepers of the old myths and legends are dying out, and their stories are dying with them. The children are no longer lulled to sleep with tales of the hero twins and their glorious adventures in the underworld. They are lulled to sleep by the sound of their own rumbling stomachs and the distant screams of their neighbors. The grand narrative of our people is being replaced by a single monotonous story, the story of survival. The practical knowledge is disappearing too. The techniques of the master builders, the secrets of the herbal healers, the agricultural wisdom of the farmers, all of it is being lost as the systems that supported and transmitted that knowledge crumble. We are forgetting how to build, how to heal, how to grow. We are forgetting how to be us. I saw an engineer yesterday, a man who once designed great reservoirs and aqueducts, trying to fix a simple leaky roof with a mixture of mud and leaves. He had forgotten the basic principles of his own craft. His hands, which had once drawn up plans for magnificent public works, now fumbled with the simple, clumsy materials of a primitive hut. It was a perfect, heartbreaking metaphor for our collective decline. The loss of our record-keeping has created a kind of temporal vertigo. We are no longer sure of our own history. Was it 2 years ago that the great drought began, or was it 3? Which lord betrayed which king in which battle? The details are becoming fuzzy, the timeline is blurring. We are becoming a people without a past, adrift in a sea of an uncertain present, with no future in sight. The tribute system has, of course, completely collapsed. This has led to the rather amusing spectacle of regional governors who once lived in luxury on the backs of the common people, now having to learn how to do things for themselves. I saw one, a man whose hands had never touched anything rougher than a jade bead, trying to grind his own maize. He was not very good at it. There is a certain grim satisfaction in watching the powerful get a taste of the helplessness they once inflicted on others. The fragmentation of our society is almost complete. We are no longer a unified civilization. We are 1,000 tiny, isolated pockets of humanity, each with its own leaders, its own laws, its own desperate strategies for survival. The great Maya Empire has shattered into 1,000,000 insignificant pieces, and there is no one left to put it back together again. I am, I suppose, the last librarian, the last archivist. This broadcast is my final, desperate attempt to preserve something of what we were, of what we knew. I am speaking these words into the void, hoping that somehow they will be recorded, remembered, hoping that our story will not simply vanish as if we had never been. I am trying to teach a few of the younger children the glyphs. It is a futile gesture, I know, but I cannot bear the thought of our beautiful, complex language being lost forever. I show them the symbols for sun, for moon, for water, for maize. They look at me with their big, hungry eyes, and they try to copy the shapes in the dust with a stick. They are learning the words for a world that no longer exists. So what is the final, systemic lesson of our collapse? It is that civilization is a fragile, intricate machine. It requires constant maintenance, constant cooperation, constant faith. And when the parts begin to fail, when the gears begin to grind, when the faith is lost, the machine does not just slow down, it tears itself apart, and all the knowledge in the world cannot save it. If you have found this autopsy of a civilization instructive, if you have learnt anything from our spectacular system's failure, then do me this one last honor. Like this broadcast, subscribe to this channel. Let my voice, my words, my desperate final report be the one system that does not fail. Let the memory of our knowledge be the one thing that survives the great forgetting. You are the new keepers of the word. You are the inheritors of a knowledge that was paid for with the price of a civilization. Do not let that price have been paid in vain. Like, subscribe, remember. It is the most important system you have, and unlike ours, it is still working. For now. And so, we arrive. Welcome, my last and most loyal listeners, to the final broadcast. It is I, Ixil, your companion to the very edge of time. There is no more to report. The stars have finished their mad dance. The fires have consumed what they will. The people have fled or fallen silent. The gods have never been more silent than they are at this moment. All that is left is the count, the great, inexorable, and now terrifyingly short count to the end. The last glyph. The final count. It's here. After thousands of years, the great cosmic clock is striking its last chime, and we're all here to witness it. Lucky us. For generations, my ancestors, the keepers of the calendar, looked forward to this day. They saw it as a moment of cosmic significance, of profound transformation, a day of celebration. They envisioned grand ceremonies, a renewal of the world, a rebirth of the gods. They did not envision this quiet, dusty, anticlimactic end. The final calculations were completed long ago. 13 Bakturons, 1,872,000 days, a span of time so vast it seemed an eternity. We marked its passage with a devotion that bordered on obsession. We carved it into stone, we painted it into our books, we wove it into the very fabric of our lives. The calendar was our greatest achievement, our most sacred text, our unwavering promise of order in a chaotic universe. And now, that promise is about to be broken. The profound sense of cosmic finality is a weight in the air. It is heavier than the smoke, more oppressive than the heat. It is the feeling of a story that is about to end, a song that is about to fade to silence. There are no more pages to turn, no more verses to sing. This is it, the last word, the final note. And we, the last flickering remnants of a once great civilization, are here to hear it. I have the last codex open in front of me. It is a fragile, beautiful thing, its pages filled with the elegant, intricate dance of our glyphs. I run my finger over the final entry, the glyph for the day for Ahau, the 3rd of Tzolk'in, the day of the 13th Baktun. It is a simple, beautiful glyph. It looks so innocent, so unassuming. It does not look like the end of the world, but it is. The city is quieter than I have ever known it. The frantic panic has subsided, replaced by a strange, listless calm. The few who remain have gathered in the great plaza, not to riot, not to pray, but simply to wait. They sit among the silent, mocking stones of our abandoned temples, their faces turned to the sky, as if expecting a sign, a final revelation. I do not have the heart to tell them that the only revelation will be the silence. The irony is not lost on me. We, the people of time, the masters of the calendar, have run out of both. We spent so long looking forward to this moment, so long planning for it, so long dreaming of it, and now that it is here, we find ourselves utterly, completely unprepared. We were so busy charting the journey that we never considered the possibility that the destination might be nothing. I think of the generations of priests who came before me, the men who spent their lives in the patient, meticulous observation of the heavens, the men who built this great, beautiful, and ultimately useless clock. What would they think if they could see us now? Would they weep? Would they rage? Or would they, like me, simply sit in the quiet, overwhelming presence of their own monumental, catastrophic failure? There is a strange intimacy in this final moment. We are all equals now, the king, the priest, the farmer, the warrior. Our titles, our ranks, our possessions, all of it has been rendered meaningless by the sheer, overwhelming scale of this cosmic event. We are all just people. Small, frightened people, sitting together in the dark, waiting for the end. There is a kind of comfort in that. If you're still processing this cosmic event, this grand, final chime of a clock that has ticked for millennia, be sure to subscribe. This is the last broadcast, the final entry in our chronicle of collapse. By subscribing, you ensure that this story, our story, does not end with the silence. You become the keepers of the flame, the guardians of the memory. You become the new beginning that we were denied. This is your last chance. Click that subscribe button now. Let it be your final act in this shared, strange journey. Let it be a testament to the fact that you were here, you listened, you bore witness to the end of a world, and in that act of witnessing you give it a meaning, a significance, that it would not otherwise have. Do it now, before the signal fades for the last time. The sun is beginning to set. It is a beautiful sunset, a riot of orange and purple and red. It is a cruel, indifferent beauty, a final cosmic slap in the face. The world is ending, but the universe, in its infinite, unfeeling majesty, can still paint a pretty picture. It is a reminder of how small, how insignificant, how utterly irrelevant we are in the grand scheme of things. The shadows are lengthening, stretching across the empty plaza like dark skeletal fingers. They are creeping up the sides of the great pyramids, swallowing the carved histories of our kings, devouring the images of our gods. Soon the darkness will be complete, and in that darkness, the final moment will arrive. I am not afraid. The fear has been burned out of me, starved out of me, silenced out of me. All that is left is a profound and very, very tired curiosity. I want to see what happens. I want to be here for the final definitive answer. Is it a bang or a whimper? A new beginning or just an end? I have a feeling I know the answer, but I want to see it for myself. I hold in my hand a single, perfect piece of jade. It is a cool, smooth weight in my palm. It is a piece of a world that is about to vanish, a small, tangible fragment of a reality that is about to become a memory. I will hold it until the end. It is my own small, silent, and utterly useless act of defiance. The first star has appeared in the darkening sky. It is Venus, our old treacherous friend. It is not winking or wobbling tonight. It is just there, a single perfect point of light in the vast silent emptiness. It seems to be watching us, a silent celestial witness to our final moments. I can hear the breathing of the people in the plaza. It is a soft, rhythmic sound, the sound of 100 hearts beating in unison. It is the sound of a life that is about to be extinguished. It is the most beautiful and most tragic sound I have ever heard. The air is growing cold. The last of the sun's warmth is fading from the stones. A chill is settling over the world, a deep, cosmic chill that has nothing to do with the temperature. It is the chill of the void, the cold of a universe that is about to turn its back on us. I think of the unwritten books, the forgotten glyphs, the lost knowledge. I think of all the stories that will now never be told, all the songs that will now never be sung. A civilization is not just its people, it is its memories. And our memories are about to be erased, wiped clean, as if we had never been. This broadcast, this one final flickering signal, this is all that is left, a ghost in the machine, a voice without a body, a memory without a future. I am Ixil. I was a priest of the Maya, and I was here. I saw it all, and I told you everything. The last grain of sand is falling through the cosmic hourglass. The last drop of water is evaporating from the celestial river. The final tick of the great cosmic clock is upon us. It is time. Thank you for listening. Thank you for bearing witness. Thank you for remembering. It is the only immortality we have left. A long, profound silence. The sound of a single, soft intake of breath. Then, a final, quiet click. And then, only static. A deep, endless, cosmic static. The sound of an empty channel. So, this is it, the final exhalation of a very, very long breath. The great cosmic clock has chimed its last, and the silence it has left behind is comprehensive. We have charted the journey from cosmic order to celestial chaos, From bountiful harvests to a famine of biblical proportions, from fervent faith to a silence so profound it has become a god in its own right, we have chronicled the madness of the stars, the rage of the fires, and the spectacular self-destructive folly of our own leaders. And now, there is nothing left to say. The story has been told. The world, as we knew it, is over. We began this broadcast as a people who had all the answers. We were the timekeepers, the stargazers, the chosen people of a benevolent and orderly cosmos. We end it as this. A scattered, starving remnant, huddled in the ruins of our own arrogance, listening to the wind whistle through the empty eye sockets of our silent gods. It has been a journey of epic and, I must say, darkly humorous disillusionment. We have learned that our calendars were just beautiful, intricate lies, and that the universe does not care a whit for our plans. We have seen it all, haven't we? The planets doing their drunken dance, the sun breaking out in a celestial rash, the moon turning a shade of purple that would make a royal bruise jealous. We have felt the earth crack beneath our feet. We have choked on the smoke of our burning history. We have watched our children starve while our leaders squabbled over the last remaining jaguar skin cushion. It has been a masterclass in societal collapse, a comprehensive, step-by-step guide to how a civilization can go from the pinnacle of creation to a pile of dust and regret in a few short, chaotic cycles. And through it all, the silence. The profound, unshakable, and frankly rather rude silence of the gods. We screamed, we prayed, we bled, we offered up everything we had, and they just let the celestial phone ring. It is a lesson in humility that has been carved into our very bones. We are not the favored children of the cosmos. We are just an experiment that has run its course, a cosmic sea monkey farm that has been left on a dusty shelf for too long. And so, as the final cycle completes and the old world holds its breath, this has been Akin Shu, your humble and now slightly disoriented broadcaster from the brink of a cosmic reset. We saw the stars dance erratically, the fires rage, and the gods remain utterly, divinely silent. It has been my distinct, if somewhat terrifying, honor to be your guide through these final, tumultuous moments of our great and spectacularly failed experiment in civilization. If this desperate, darkly humorous transmission from the very edges of calendrical understanding has given you a moment of profound contemplation, or perhaps made you appreciate your own era's predictable celestial mechanics, then my purpose is served. We have offered up our story, our failure, our spectacular demise as a final, desperate sacrifice, not to the silent gods, but to you, to the future, to whatever comes next. Let our ruins be your foundation. Let our mistakes be your wisdom. Keep listening, keep questioning, and for the sake of the next cycle, if there is one, keep that subscribe button pressed. Because even when time itself seems to end, the stories and the lessons must somehow echo. This channel, this broadcast, is our only legacy. It is the final, flickering ember of a world that has been consumed by fire and silence. Do not let it go out. Your subscription is the breath that will keep it alive, the one system that might just survive the great cosmic reset. Until the next broadcast, from a very different world perhaps, Kuye telakakun, may your era be with you. Static overtakes the voice entirely, a rising, overwhelming roar that then cuts abruptly into a deep, vast, and utterly final silence. For a long moment, there is nothing. Then, a single, clear, and unfamiliar bird song is heard, hinting at a new, unknown beginning.